Hey y'all. Hey Saida. Hey Brandy. Saida, you might like this one. You might like it too, Brandy. I know there's not a lot of people um that really know a lot about the Orisha, especially a lot of our people. Some of our people don't believe in it because of Christianity. They think it's evil. They even think the religion of voodoo is evil, and some of you ever heard of the Orisha. So anyway, I haven't done a spirituality video in a while, and I thought this one may be fun. And the reason why I thought about this video is because Aries Queen left a comment on one of my old videos. That hey Aries Queen girl, this video is dedicated to you, child. You are the inspiration of this video, child, because the comment you left under that the video that I did about Nana Baruku, right? So I thought it would be fun because we're always talking about the gender wars and what have you. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear me because I'm at my niece's house and I'm outside and the wind is blowing and cars is passing by and all of this. You welcome, child. So hey, Lena. And so anyway, hey Patrice, how y'all doing? So like I said, y'all, this video is inspiration. I got it from Aries Queen because she watched a old video that I did paying homage to the Orisha that I associate with, and that Orisha is Nana Baruku. Nana Baruku is known as the grandmother of the Orisha. She is so old, in fact, that when it comes to some of the Ifa or even the voodoo and other type of spiritualities in the other land, yeah, they get dark magic mixed. Yeah, it's different. Dark magic and Wiccan and spirituality, divination. They get it all mixed together, right? Hey, the T Lounge, how you doing? Hey, True Black. Thank y'all for coming in for this video. Thank y'all. I haven't done one of these videos in forever. I don't hardly talk about spirituality videos at all. I haven't even done one in a while. People just to make comments under my videos talking about something. Can I get a tarot reading? And I'm thinking I'm not a tarot card reader, child. No, I don't know. And just a whole lot of us. You are you the devil and are you a witch and girl, just all kind of stuff. Right? I was like, oh Lord, these people that let Christianity bury their head in the sand, right? I was like, oh, I just not, I just cannot. But anyway, um, when it comes to um being an Ifa devotee, I was raised in a Christian church, but my grandmother, she passed down a lot of things when it comes to our family history, right? And so she used to talk about the old ones, the ancestors, what we call the deities, which we also call some of us also, hey Devin, called the Orisha, so on and so forth, right? Root work, just all types of things, right? And so, um, like I said, when it comes to my spirit, I associate with my spirit calls to Nana Baruku, right? And Nana Baruku, like I said, is very old. She's often forgotten, especially in a whole lot of circles, especially here in the Americas. But in places like Brazil, in some countries in Africa, like Benin, Nigeria, uh, Ghana, when it comes to the religions like Santeria, and especially Ifa and even Voodoo, they still they still pay homage to Nana Baruku, right? So she's so honest, Oracle in the song, right? I think that's what it is, T Lounge. What the thing is, T Lounge, I have never said why I call myself the Oracle. I have never, not even to this day, said why I call myself the Oracle. But people assume that because I call myself the Oracle, it's because I do readings or something. Child, I don't read tarot cards. I can't. I can't. I don't read tarot cards, right? So nothing wrong with it. I just can't do it, right? And so anyway, um, y'all made me forget where I was coming from. I need to start reading the chat. I need to start reading the chat. And I'm kind of excited about this because it's kind of fun. Because I hadn't thought about doing this, right? But since we've been in these sectors, we always talking about the men versus the women, the gender war. You know the whole thing that's been going on the internet forever, right? So I remember the story that I heard a while ago, and I thought it might, it might tie into what's going on around here right now, right? That being the fact that we don't, like I said, I don't do these types of videos really anymore. That being the fact that um, some of us, especially a lot of younger people, even older people, don't really know anything about our spiritualities, our ancestral spiritualities as it pertains to the motherland. The only references to religion that many of us have is Christianity, right? And that is not true. There are a whole lot of religions across the world, across throughout the diaspora when it comes to black people and religion slash spirituality, right? In fact, voodoo, on a side note, is seen as a actual religion when it comes to the Catholics. They had to finally admit and proclaim voodoo as a actual religion, and because it is also said that they praise the Virgin Mary up top, and they practice voodoo down in the bottom of the of the Vatican, right? So some people say that, right? Hey, NGC, right? So let's get back to Nana Baruku. Nana Baruku is known as the grandmother of the Orisha. Like I said, she's so old, in fact, that a lot of people that worship the Orisha don't even worship her anymore. She has a small following, smaller than a lot of the other Orishas. It's because she's so old. It is because um I really kind of think personally that the reason why Nana Baruku is not as widely known as a lot of the other Orishas is simply because of patriarchy, right? And it also ties into the story. So, just a little bit about Nana Baruku. Like I said, she's known as the grandmother of the Orisha. She's known as the creator of the universe, right? She birthed the sun, as well as the moon, and she birthed the sun and the moon. At first, it was her, the creator of the universe. So when you hear people saying, what should I say, the origin of some people, what people mean is when they say, God is a woman. The origin of that is referencing Nana Baruka, right? But there's a supreme deity by the name of Oda Damare. He is known as the creator of all things. And when it comes to Christianity and certain spiritualities, it's a little more in depth in a when it comes as opposed to the Book of Genesis in the Bible, right? We know the Book of Genesis, the Bible, God created the heavens and the earth and went through, did it all in 7 days, right? But when it comes to African spiritualities, like there's a whole lineage. We're talking and a lot of that lineage is actually another thing a lot of people don't know. Um, it's actually in tandem. Y'all follow along with me, right? Because as the things come up in my brain, I have to say them out of my mouth, right? So I might circle back around, but this is how it works in my head. So sorry about that, because y'all know I love this topic. If you didn't know, you know now. I love the topic, right? So anyway, a lot of the things when it comes to the Orisha and the deities and the things that go on that have gone ancestrally in the motherland, they kind of coincide with the books of the Bible, and there's a reason for that. A lot of people think that a lot of the books of the Bible were from Dead Sea Scrolls. A lot of people that think that the Dead Sea Scrolls were actually hieroglyphs. I can't want to say the word, or stories that they got from the walls of ancient Egypt, and even even before Eurasian Egypt, we know there was Nubia, right? And from Nubia, we got the black African Egyptians, right? So when I say hieroglyphs from the walls of Egypt, I mean the black African Nubian hieroglyphs, right? I'm not talking about the what they used to call they used to call the Eurasians. Oh, what do they call them? There was another name for them. It'll come across. Yeah, I think about it in a minute, right? So anyway, that's why they think that the Bible is it, it coincides, these spiritualities coincide with the Bible, but the Bible is bastardized versions of some of the stories, right? If I can put it that way, if that makes sense, right? So pretty much in the essence they were plagiarized from these hieroglyphs, right? So anyway, that's what some people think. Uh, but back as far as Nana Baruku, like I said, she's known as the creator of the universe, but the omnipotent creator, the all powerful creator, is the Orisha or deity Olodumare. Everything under Olodumare is known as a Lord G God, right? And um, when it comes to certain spiritualities, Oldamari is actually an Orisha deity, and he is a Lord G God as well, right? So Nana Baruku, grandmother of the universe, she birthed the sun and the moon, but there's a story behind her having to birth the sun and the moon because at first she was the universe, right? So let me tell you the story. Oh, and also, if you don't know anything about Nana Baruku, like I said, she's the known as the grandmother of the Orisha. Nana Baruku, she oversaw, pretty much women, right? She really didn't deal with men at all. She was the Orisha that if you had a problem with a man, like with a husband, you would go to her for big problems. She didn't deal with little problems. She dealt with problems like, say, somebody took you against your will. You would go to Nana Baruku, and she will tell her your problem, and she will fix that for you. She's also known as the goddess of. She's also known as the goddess of fertility. Like if you were having fertility issues, you would go pay homage to Nana Baruku, and she would, help you bring forth life. Okay, because she is the creator of the universe. From her loins, came the universe, the sun, and the moon, and the stars, right? And so, and she also said that Nana Baruko, her archetype is the archetype of wisdom, and knowledge, and great compassion. She has great compassion for women, and children, especially. She is said to be an extraordinary healer, extraordinary nurturer. Um, and like I said, when you have a real problem going on with a man, she's not so much judgmental. She doesn't judge women. She can be judgmental, but she does exact judgment on men. Said that Nana Baruku, because she was so wise and she was so old, that she lived in uh, I'm gonna put it in today's terms. She lived like in a cave off to herself, and but she had a beautiful garden in front of her cave, right? So if you came to her, when you had a problem with your husband, or a serious problem, like he put his hands on you, he treating you real bad, or somebody done took you against your will, you would pray, and she would summon you to her cave. You walk through her garden, she summon you to her cave. You tell her your grievance, and she would take care of it, right? And so, but she, like I said, she passed judgment on men. And and like, say you had a problem with, somebody took you against your will, right, and you were a woman, what she would do is she would go find that person, that wronged you. She would lure them back to her garden. She would then tie them to a stump, and then she would have the Egon. What the Egons are the ancient spirit, the ancestral spirits of the dead. She would tie you to that stump, and the Egoons would come, and work you over, or even take you to other life take them to the afterlife with them, um depending on, what judgment she placed on you, right? And so she had power over the Egoons, right? These ancient spirits of the dead. And also, the reason why some of the Voodoo people, now the Voodoos, they don't worship a lot or praise or even acknowledge a lot of the Orisha, but Nana Baruku, they do. It's because at one point in time she had power over the Egoons, right? So that is where those spiritualities, where they intermingle, right? Oh, and also Ola Demare too. And so, anyway, that's what she would do when you came to her with a grievance, right? And she would, that's how she, one way that she would take care of it for you, right? And so, here comes the gender war part, right? Like I said, she is pretty much pro woman. She brought justice um, for women against men that wronged women and children. And so, there's a story that goes, her and Ogun. Ogun is another Orisha, another Lord G god. She can't. Ogun and Nana Baruku can't stand each other, right? Ogun and Nana Baruku can't stand each other because one day, the another Lord G goddess that was married to, I'm using this in today's terms, was married to Ogun. She came to Nana Baruku and she was like, Nana, I'm sick of Ogun. I'm putting these in my words, right, y'all? I'm sick of, oh, y'all hit the like button, right? I'm sick of Ogun. He treating me bad. He not letting me live, right? He disrespecting me. I can't take it no more. He heavy handed. He trying to override me. He doing way too much, right? And so she was like, okay, girl, I got you, right? So she summons and this is the Lord deity or Orisha Oya, right? So she summons Ogun to her cave, right? Ogun comes to the cave. Um, she's talking to Ogun. She overpowers Ogun. She ties him to a stump in the garden. She calls the Egans down, and they come. And of course, he wasn't having it for long though. But she managed to overpower him, tie him to the stump, and she called the Eagles down and they torture him all night long, right? So, but they say by the morning time, he managed to escape. So when, Oya, yes, Oya. So when he managed to escape, so, um, after he escaped, he went and talked to some other. Now, let me say, here's the thing, too. Here's the thing. Some people say that when it comes to the deities, uh, we identify them as male and female deities, right? But some people believe that the deities are kind of like um what the Christians call and other religions call angels, and angels um are what do you call them? Not male or female, but both. They are oh, what's that word? They are androgynous, right? So, but when it comes to the Orisha, the reason why some people identify them as some male Orisha and some female Orisha is really not the gender, it's the energy, right? So you can have somebody like Ogun, he was a powerful warrior. He dealt with metal, because he was a warrior. Nana Baruku, she advocated for women. So they identify her as female and gender, but they're really male and female energies, right? So men have a history of that's what we get to, Patrice girl. Per the story, right? Per the story. So anyway, um okay. So she brought the Igun and they punished him. He managed to get away, right? So when he got away, he went back to the other male Orisha. He was like, y'all, guess what happened to me? Nana Baruka had the nerve to punish me. Right? I can't believe she tied me to a post and the Eagles came and they tortured me all night, but I managed to get away, blah blah this and blah blah that. And I was like, man, I'm putting this in my own words, right? Man, you need to go talk to you need to talk to Obatala, right? Now Obatala is known as the Lord G God, the creator of men, right? Man, you need to go talk to Obatala, right? So they went to talk to Obatala And Obatala sent one of his boys to talk to Nana Baruku, right? But Nana Baruku ain't really feeling none of the men, right? But Nana Baruku, you can all of the Orishas, they like their gifts, right? Like Nana Baruku, she likes her, she likes her liquors, right? She like a henny girl, she like a henny, right? Not really. She liked like her wines. There's a mixture they talk about. It's consistent. The Nigerians, it's made up of snail. It's called snail water, right? And it's akin to gin, right? So he brought us some snail water, and I forget the name of it, but it's akin to gin. So he brought her that. She was drinking her little drink. He really didn't drink like that. So he was drinking his coconut water, whatever. And after a while, she got sleepy. So when she got sleepy, he then put on his I'm not gonna say transformed, but instead of the male energy, he came into his feminine energy. Not only did he come into his feminine energy, he dressed up like Nana Baruku. He went out to the garden. He went and he summoned the Oguns, and he told them that their services were no longer needed, right? So they left the garden, because they thought Nana Baruku, he pretty much disguised himself as Nana Baruku, like I said, and he sent them away. So he sent them away. Then he left. After he woke up, after Nana Baruka woke up, she noticed what he had done. Uh, I forgot who it was at Obertala saying exactly, but she noticed what he had done, right? And she's like, "Oh, okay." And of course, she was furious. She was really, really mad, but she is so wise that she knew not to act out in anger, right? So she didn't act out in anger. She thought about it, and she knew well what had been done and why it had been done, and pretty much who started it, and who the person that started it was Ogun. It says that Ogun cannot even be summoned to this day. When you are trying to summon Nana Baruku, or they're going to fight, right? It's gonna be a problem even to this day. So she thought about it. She's like, you know what? Okay, they want to take my power away. See, not only did they take the Egans away, right? They also took away a lot of her power. They couldn't take all of it, but they couldn't take away they couldn't take away um her power when it comes to fertility, right? So she's like, okay, I got something for them. So she goes to Obatala house, bearing gifts, because like I said, the Orisha like gifts. And like I told y'all, Nana Baruka, she like a liquor, she like a coconut, she like a coconut chicken. What is some? She like her tobacco. She like her coffees. Um, and her numbers number seven, known as lucky number seven. Um, what else about Nana Baruka? Oh yeah, her colors is black, white, red, and green. What else about her? Like I said, if you got any problems, and you need her, and you are a devotee, you will know that um, uh, when you are at your most powerful, and when it comes to summoning her, you will go to a not necessarily a large body of water, but she loves like ponds, like lakes, places like ponds, lakes, and what do you call those swamps, swamps. You can her summoning, your summoning will be strongest like in old graveyards, not new ones, but old graveyards. You can even summon her in hospitals, because she's a powerful healer. And those are the places that they say, if you need help from Nana Baruku, your summoning is greater in those places like that, right? And of course, if you got an altar, you put your offerings on the altar, you can summon her that way. If you are a true believer, right, a true follower, if a devotee, a follower of and all of the other spiritualities that I mentioned earlier, right? So anyway, it took her a couple of days. The story goes, it took her a couple of days, and she said, "You know what? I know how to handle this. I know how to get my powers back, right?" So What she did was go to, sorry about that, y'all. Go to Obatala's, burn gifts. Now, Obatala, he liked wine as well, right? So she brought him the gift of wine, and she made like she was drinking the wine and all this and all that. After a while, he fell asleep. Now, when he fell asleep, what she did was, since they done took almost all of her powers, remember, but they could not take away her power to create life, right? They could not take her fertility powers away from her. So what she did was she seduced Obatala and got pregnant. And when she got pregnant, not only did she get her powers back, she had twins. She had the sun and the moon, right? The sun, and the moon, meaning the male, the masculine and the feminine, right? If you want to put it that way. But like I said, it's kind of like gender neutral, right? Whichever way you want to take it, right? And so, um, after that, Obatala was furious. Ogun was furious because she got her powers back. And they waged a long battle. It's said that there are over, they've counted so far over 400 Orishas, right? So the story goes there was a long, I guess, kind of like gender war battle, if you want to put it in the context of male and female, to the point to where Nana Baruku couldn't take it anymore, and she just pretty much went off to herself, went unto her cave, and she didn't advocate. She let the other Orishas pretty much handle things from there because she got tired of it, right? She got tired of battling it out with Ogun. She got tired of the I'm gonna say male identified deities trying to overthrow her. She got tired of fighting with them, right? And they was in their feelings because she was getting the better of all of them, right? So that's why they had to go to Obatala, right? Because they didn't appreciate a I guess I'm gonna say a female identified deity having that much power over them, being able to exact punishment over them. She was in control of the Egans. They had to get rid of them, and just the whole thing, right? So, so if you want to talk about in the context of a gender war, I told this story because I thought it would be fun in that context, because that says even what it was telling me was even when it came to the Orisha, even when it came to the deities, there has always been a gender war amongst us, even our lower G gods, right? And so I thought that was funny, and I wanted to tell that story. So I'm like, okay, let's tell it in the context of a gender war. But anyway, like I said, that's the story. Look, tell me what y'all think about it. Did y'all like that war? Did y'all like that story? What you think about it, Aries Queen? But there are a lot of stories like that when it comes to the Orisha. Um, we're used to hearing a lot of the stories about how the Orisha helped the Haitians, and all of this and all of that there, but we never hear like stories pertaining to us in particular, in the ancient times, right? So I like this story and I want to share it. I really did. You with it? I am. I am Allison. Yeah. Shit, I thought it was funny. So yeah, yeah. So that's the story. That is the Orisha version of a gender war. Hey, Red Vines Popcorn. You enjoying this good cup of thing? Oh, you welcome. It is very interesting, right? Like I said, I haven't did a video like this in a very long time, especially concerning the Orishas. And some oh, and also, just on a side note, oh, I forgot to show y'all some. And also one of the okay, when it comes to Nana Baruku, one of Nana Baruku's great, great. I don't know how many greats, but one of her great. I don't know how many greats, but one of her great grandchildren, is also when I remember when I came on, you heard the story about Ogun graping it. Yes, yes, Aries. Yes, yes, yes. We have to tell that one day too. Yes, yes. Ogun is something else. Yes, yes. He was very much misogynistic. The way the stories goes. He was very much please do more. Oh, thank you, Allison. He was very much misogynistic and pretty gross, and and that's also a good example of when I say the Bible kind of parallels the stories in the Bible. They kind of parallel so some of the stories about the Orisha. Be, oh, when we like say for instance, you talking about that story right there, right? But in the Bible, there's a story of Lot when it came to Sodom and Gomorrah and how the angels told Lot and his family to flee Sodom and Gomorrah because they was getting ready to destroy it and don't look back. And his wife looked back, but the daughters and Lot didn't look back. And they fled Sodom and Gomorrah. They were the only ones. Eventually, the daughters wanted children. There were no men around, and they got the daddy drunk, and they blah 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 had baby by him. Uh, and all of this and all of that, right? So yeah, you're right about that. You are absolutely right about that, Aries Queen. I forgot all about that. But yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that story too. I may forget what I was. Oh yeah, okay. When it comes to the hieroglyphs, like Nubia, ancient Egypt, we're talking about the Black African Egyptians, right? There is a one of Baruku's, I'm gonna say bloodline, if you will. I'm using my words, right? Bloodline, if you will. In that line, there is a great, however many great grandson of hers by the name of he was a Lord G God, a deity, and he was worshipped in ancient Nubia, and he's not even talked about so much these days. His name, he's known as the deity or the Lord G God Bes, Bes. That was his name, right? And Bes, he couldn't there are many male gods of fertility when it comes to the Egyptians. They worship fertility gods, female fertility gods, male fertility gods. But Best, he was known for you would summon him when you would go into childbirth because the infant mortality rate had to be horrific right back then, right? So what they would do in ancient Nubia is summon the god Best, right? And summon the god Best. He was also said to be the father of the Ptah or the Twa people. The Twa people, they were said to be a magical people. They were real small in stature, like almost like they don't like to be called, but midgets. What do they call? Not midgets. No disrespect. They don't call them midgets these days. I think they call them little people today because they don't like to be called midgets. But I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the Twa people. The Twa people were thought to be wiped out. They said the last of the Twa people were taken away when our people were taken from the motherland, right? And so specific. Oh Lord, Patrice, I can't by memory. I can't, but I try to put some books on in the I'll do a community post about some books, Patrice. But off the top, I can't think of any right now. Not right off the top. But I'll try to put some in the. I'll try to do a community post about them. Okay, Patrice. I think that's awesome that you want to read more about them. But feel free to Google, child. Google the Orishas. You know what I mean? And so, Saida said, yes, the little people, the Twi people, right? They said they would be, and the reason why they would call them magical people, um, is because it said the Twa people, they were really, really close to nature because of their father or grandfather, the god Best. And like I said, when it comes to fertility guys, we know that there were lots of male fertility guys and female fertility guys, but Best, you would call him, you would summon him, when you wanted when you wanted to give birth to your child. You don't want to die in childbirth. You don't want your child to die in childbirth. So Best would sit beside you, and help you deliver your child, right? But a lot of people don't know a lot about Bess. I seen a couple of statues. I don't know a lot about him either. There's not a lot of literature on him, but there are some statues about with his depiction on it. Let me show y'all one up. Hold on a minute. With his depiction on it, and um here is one of his symbols. Can y'all see that? That is one of the pictures. They say he was short in stature, large phallus, short in stature, and he wasn't necessarily a god of war. He was a god of happiness, a god of childbirth, a god of protection for women, and he wasn't necessarily a fertility god at all for men or women. He would just help bring in childbirth. They say he was kind of a gatekeeper. When it comes to he is also mentioned when it comes to voodoo or voodoo. He's also mentioned that because he's known as the gatekeeper of when it comes to life, bringing forth life, and he is said to be a great great of Nana Baruku, right? And so because of that, happiness, he's known for bringing happiness to the home, protection, facilitating protection not only for the as far as bringing childbirth, but for mothers and children, like his great great however many great grandmothers. Yeah, he was a protector. He was a protector, like more than women, but like and more than women and children, but like family, right? um uh he was also a warrior. And they were thought to be a, like I said, the Twa, we already know that they were thought to be a quote unquote magical people, if you will. And the reason why is because they had control over nature as well as the universe, right? It's thought that they had control over nature and the universe. It says they were the first ones. They weren't considered war gods or anything like that. But it says when it comes to the Twa people, they are the first ones to start to meld or smelt iron into weapons. They learned that from the Twa people. They also said that the Twa people dwelled in a place on the motherland called the Light Lands, and because they dwelled in a place, a mystical place, or mystical place called the Light Lands, they could actually, how you got. Have you ever seen National Geographic when they talk about squirrels and how squirrels they don't have wings, but they flatten out their body and they can like kind of like parasail from one tree branch or one whole tree to another. They could do that sort of thing. Um, and a whole lot of stuff they say about the ancient Twa people, right? So anyway, they felt like the Twa people were almost wiped out, um, which are direct descendants of the god Bess right here. They say that they were almost wiped out during the time of King Leopold, when he dominated, and inflicted genocide. And before there was a Hitler, there was a King Leopold, right? And they say that the Twa people were almost wiped out, and then they say there were a small fraction of them sent to Ireland. And the story of the leprechaun actually comes from the Twa. They're really talking about the Twa when they talk about the leprechaun. They turned to green or something, but they thought that these little bitty people, the Twa people, they would rub them on the head for good luck and stuff like that, right? So hence the fable of the leprechaun. And so, what else about the Twa people? It was something else I wanted to tell y'all. Um, but anyway, like I said, I don't know a lot about them, just a little bit. And so, but they are said to be, um, they were said to be, a magical people. They were deities, but because of Bess right here, and him being the great great, how many great grandsons of Nana Baruko. He had all these mystical powers. Like I said, even to this day, a lot of people don't talk about Bess, but I want to mention him because I heard about him. I don't know a lot about him. There's not a lot of literature that I can find about him, but that's what's said about him. You know, and so yeah, I thought that was cool. I want to mention that to y'all. Um, that's about it. That's all I got about him. About Nana Baruko. Unless it's something y'all want to ask me. Oh, I found a couple of these photos. This is actually ceremony. Here's another one. When it comes to worshiping Nana Baruko, I thought that was fun. I want to show you guys that. Here's another picture. Another actual piece of ancient art. When it comes to Abyss, he's also depicted this way. He's also depicted this way. This is them worshiping him or asking him, for help for whatever reason. Hey, Mr. Carruthers, how you doing? Oh, thank you, Mr. Carruthers. Thank you so much. Thank you. And so, yeah. I want to bring this to y'all. It'd be so much going on around here. I was like, oh, um, because of um, because of Aries Queen putting that comment under that very old video of mine. I was like, oh, okay, let's come back and have some fun with the Orishas for a little quick minute. Hey Joe W, how you doing? And so I thought it was fun, and I want to share that with y'all. Like I said, there are a lot of stories about the Orisha. I just stopped doing videos on them anymore because honey, people was getting too wild under my comment section. It was a lot. I was like, nope. Let me just go on it. Let me just go on and find something else to talk about. You welcome, Aries Queen. I hope you had fun with it. And so yeah, and I hope you're still studying. hmm I try to throw in a few fun facts. You know what I mean? And so how are you just looking into the Orishas, or do you know? Have you found your spirit, Orisha, or or are you just interested in them, or are you just interested? You're looking into them. Okay, okay. So yeah. Do you feel that your spirit is led towards Nana Baruku because she's the wisest of the wise? And so, like I said, she is not Lord. She don't have a lot of devotees or followers, or to the point to where because she really is not the deity for men. She has a lot of priestesses, if you will, following her, and not a lot of priests. You know, and no, Miss Olivia. Are you? Okay. And so, and so, and so, yeah, that she doesn't have Nana Baruka doesn't have a large following. You know, but she is a very powerful deity. That's not what's my first one. Oh, really, Aries? Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I hope I gave you a couple of facts you hadn't heard about. Haven't begun and don't know where to begin. Well, Allison, if you're interested in learning about the Orisha, like I said, just uh just put the word Orisha in the Google search or the YouTube search or whatever search, and go from there. Hey George, how you doing? You've been looking into the Orishas as well. You're still studying. Absolutely. Like I said, there are four. They say that there are at least over 400 Orisha. You like Obatala, Joe W? Well, all right. The creator of men. That's why you like Obatala, huh? Obatala tried to do my girl wrong though. He tried to do that in Baruku wrong. He did. Shady, Cajun. hmm But yeah, Aries, I hope I gave you some good little fun facts or whatever. Like as far, I think I gave you her colors or no. Oh, and also, her day of worship is coming up on July 25th. If you are you need to learn about them, George. If you need to, I got a couple of videos on my channel about the Orisha. As a matter of fact, but like I said, there are said to be over 400 Orisha that have been counted, but we only really talk about 25 or 30 of them. You know what I mean? Because some of them are so old, even old like Nana Baruku, that they are not even worshipped anymore. But I guess if you dig hard enough, but you know, I don't even know all 30 of them. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And so, but that's what they say. But that's what they say. But there are many Lord G gods. But like I said, even in the Bible, it had to mention, um, the Lord G gods, right, if you will, about an African goddess, Dick. Oh, okay. Dick, and I was searching the different. Oh, okay, okay. So you got a like a tarot deck, Aries Queen. Aries Queen said, "Doing well, Olivia. Interesting talk with spirituality. I'm open minded on the subject, but wondering how we became separate in a way from the spirit, in a way separate in a way from." Now, when it comes to about to walk into this church, I'll be well. All right, Allison. She said about to walk into the church, y'all. I know. Saida said we need to call on the ancestors and the Orishas regarding some of these YouTube issues going on. You a mess, Saida. But we still got free will, right? Y'all maybe forget what I was going to say. Oh, let me answer Mr. Carruthers' question. He said, I'm open-minded on the subject. I wonder how we become separate in a way from the spirit by different cultures. Separate in a way from the spirit. I don't know what you mean by that, Mr. Carruthers. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know. You want me to drop the link so we can have a conversation? Because I don't mind. Separate in a way from the spirit by different cultures. I don't understand. Y'all, I went and found me one of these Arizona natural watermelon fruit juices. I've been hooked on them ever since. Let me know, Mr. Carruthers, because I don't understand your question. But I would love to answer it for you. I know that some of our religions, i.e., spiritualities, we know that a lot of the old ways were lost. Oh, okay. Let me copy the link for you. I know that a lot of, like I said, our spiritualities were lost, because of slavery. You know. Hey, Mella. Hold on, Mr. Carruthers. Let me copy this link, and then I will, because I want to answer your question. I just don't understand what you mean. Okay. And that's for anybody. If y'all got a question, hit the link. Because y'all know me. Sometimes I have to hear you say it. Alice is just, you finna walk in the church, child. Ain't nothing wrong with that. And so, like I said, a lot of our spirituality slash i.e. religions were lost, and even we know that some of our ancestors, the slaves, tried to bring those religions here with them. And a lot of the time those religions, because of Christianity wanting to justify the enslavement of people, when they were found practicing those religions, they will whip them or even kill them, because we know at the end of the day they all fear retribution. And so, yeah, so then we would start having to do it in private and use hold on, Mr. Carruthers, is this you?
Yes, dear, it's me.
Hey, how you doing? Let me take my screensaver because the poem bomb be strong. The poem
I know.
bomb.
Oh boy, do I know.
Uh, I can't do it.
I know what you're saying. I'm gonna have to learn to use mine more often because I'm beginning to do something like you're doing, talking with people, having them
Okay.
come up and ask questions. So I got to learn to use my little shield.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they'll
But
poem bomb you and split your whole channel.
I
You don't get
know.
it out there quick enough. And so,
But
yeah.
what?
Anyway, what was you
Yeah,
asking?
what I meant about what I was trying to figure out, and I had it in my mind. We have all these different gods or spirits, as we call them, spirits that people worship and stuff. It
Uh-huh.
became lost with our
Yeah.
culture, especially with our culture, because a lot of it is from African culture heritage. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I'm just wondering why well, no, I know why. We became so indoctrinated after being enslaved here in the United States,
Yeah.
indoctrinated with the white man's culture
Yeah.
of the way we should think about religion. Because a lot of people, like you said, voodoo is a religion. A lot of people took it to become evil in some parts. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's good and bad in everything.
Oh, absolutely.
But but I, I'm just wondering the spiritual aspects of it. I know there's a higher God. There
Hmm.
is a higher being out there. Now, did he put this in man's heart to create all those other gods, goddesses, and stuff, or were they actually here? Like they teach us, Satan got cast out. You see what I'm
Right, but
saying?
in the Bible, it references it in the Bible. When it says, "Thou shalt have thou shalt have no
No other
other
God
god
before
before me."
me. Hmm.
And
But
that is
see,
referencing, that was kind of giving credence to the fact that there are other gods besides what they consider as the Almighty.
right.
You
So,
know,
with that being said, then why would they worship these other gods? And when, like you said, thou shalt have no other god before me. We know there's other gods. Even the devil is a god, but we should never put the devil ahead of him. Period.
well, see what the deal is. When I mentioned, I don't know if you were on here when I mentioned that, the when it comes to the Bible and a lot of
Hmm.
teachings in the Bible is reference to a lot of ancient spiritualities from the motherland or Africa.
Right.
A lot of that history even predates the Bible.
Hmm.
So, because it predates the Bible, and some of that history were put on the hieroglyphs, or were put on the walls of ancient Egypt. I'm not talking about the Eurasian, the Arab Egyptians. I'm talking about the Black African
African
Egyptians,
Egyptians, right?
from Nubia, even like, but after Nubia actually.
Hmm.
So a lot of those stories, they say, were lifted and corrupted from those walls, right? A lot of them, some of them were,
Hmm.
some of
Right.
them weren't. And but because, like I said, some of the stories are similar, but I think the Bible even had to, the creators of the Bible even had to give credence to the other gods, right?
Right. They had
Um,
to acknowledge that they existed. They had to acknowledge that they existed because how could you have just two in a book?
and then what I want to say about that was, before Africans, before a lot of countries in Africa, before any thing on the continent of Africa knew about a thing called a Christian, right? A religion called Christianity. We were
Right.
already worshiping gods, right? Because
Hmm.
we know that we are the first, and because we are the first, we had all types of spiritualities, because there are several countries, but they weren't even called countries back then. Africa is an immense continent even now, even though other continents have been broke across from that. So, can you
Hmm.
imagine how many religious slash spiritualities, how many gods, how many deities were worshipped even before we heard of the thing of Christianity? Now, the reason why Christianity has even colonized many countries in Africa is
Hmm.
because of the colonizers, because of white supremacy, racism, right? To the point to where there is a slave Bible, and there is a, I guess, unquote, regular holy Bible, right? And
Right.
and in that slave Bible is, they taught one slave to read, and he read that slave Bible to the other slaves in an effort to keep them in check, right? And in that slave Bible, it references, those verses in Romans about, honoring your slave master and all of this and all that, even though it's taken out of context, right? And it wants you to believe that our people are never were supposed to be anything but what they say, drawers of waters and doers of doers of wood.
Would, yeah.
You know, even to the point to where we have been associated. We know that here in the Americas that we have been associated with sometimes less than or equal to cattle or chattel. Chattel. So here's the term chattel slavery, right? So, but like I said before that, when it comes to the slaves, all of that, those spiritualities, if they caught you doing, or praising anything that wasn't Christian, they would kill you immediately or beat it out of you. You know,
Hmm.
because you would be afraid to practice your own religion, and a lot of spiritualities, i.e., religions, were lost due to that. That they started hiding like the Orishas behind figures of the Catholic Church, like Nana Baruku. She is hid behind the patron Saint Anna or something like that. I think they said she's a patron Saint Anna, or is she the patron saint of virgins or something like that, or patron saint of women? They was
Yeah.
camouflaging them with these Catholic statues and stuff like that. In an effort to try to pass down this type of spirituality down from generation to generation, right? But now it's to the point to where we have lost so much of our spirituality, even in many countries in Africa, right? They've lost
That's
so
true.
much
That's true.
spirituality because of colonizers, the dominant religion over there right now is Christianity or Catholicism. And that is because of white supremacy racism. Moreover, it's because of white male patriarchy, if you really want to break it down.
Yeah, yeah. And see, that's what I'm trying to get with myself within myself because
Mhm.
I used to go to church. Now, don't get me wrong. I used to go to these black churches, and then I started reading up and studying. Why are we still teaching that old time religious bull crap when there's actually new news out there that we can be teaching our people, getting into a spiritual context instead of believing in just that one context that's been going on for so many, many, many years. See,
Well, a lot of because because the trauma from slavery, and it can't be excused for everything, but because the trauma that's encoded in our DNA from slavery, because it was so horrific, we even to this day, even though it's been 400-500 years um since allegedly we were free,
freed
we were
here.
taken off the plantation, but that trauma is still encoded in our DNA, and you got to realize some of those old things that some of our people were taught. Some like to be scared of like voodoo or other types of spirituality, or you have a lot of people that really will get offended. That's why I stopped doing so many spirituality videos. You have a lot of
Hmm.
people even on YouTube, that would get offended if you say anything about any other god except the God of Christianity or
Yanity, right, right.
whatever, not even realizing that in the Bible, if you would pay attention, I believe that there were many manifestations of even the Jesus. Do you see what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
even the mention of that, some people are afraid because of superstition, right? I can't believe in voodoo. I don't even want to hear the word. I don't want to learn nothing about it, read nothing about it, see nothing
Right.
about it, because it's evil, and I'm gonna burn it here.
And the fact of the matter is, nobody has came back to told us if there is a heaven or a hell. Really, when you think about it.
Right. Let me read this. Jerome Snow says voodoo is spirituality. Yes, voodoo can be practiced for evil. But what they don't tell you is if you're black and practice it for evil, it will come back onto you. It don't see what now. Here's the thing, you're absolutely right about that, because when it comes to any type of magic, magic, or any type of root work or anything, right? You can practice it for light, or you can practice it for darkness, right? So if you work a spell, right, and the spell is meant to harm, you're going to get it back, right? So whatever you put back, you get back, right? You put out light, you get light back. You put out darkness, you get darkness back,
Darkness night.
because there's a payment for everything, right? And
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to voodoo in particular, um, like me, I used to watch my grandmama do a few things with the roots and all this and all that, right? But
Right.
she told me, for me and my family, I should never try to even go down that road of practicing any kind of voodoo or voodoo, whatever you want to call it, simply because my blood is not pure enough, right? Because when it comes to voodoo, the stronger the blood, the stronger the magic, right? The stronger the
Okay.
blood, the stronger the magic. And
Magic. Okay.
if you really want to practice voodoo, you know that blood magic, magic, is the strongest magic. So why would you twiddle around with anything like a sacrifice of the goats or anything like that? Because if you're a true follower, you know that blood magic is the strongest magic, right? So if it was me, and because I'm so, I always want to learn something. I can't live enough days on this earth to learn, like probably a smidge of what I would like to know.
Right. That's
I
that's
mean,
true. Because even at my age, I haven't learned everything there is to know. So
right.
that is
So,
true.
so for me, I'll be wanting to go straight to blood magic. I'm not. I'm not even gonna lie. Huh.
Well, be honest with you, I think I would too, because my father is and will always be. He's a full blooded Jamaican, and I
Oh
know
wow. Oh,
Jamaican
your
people.
bloodline is strong.
Yes, and I know Jamaican people have a strong connection to when it comes to voodooism and
Yes,
all that
the
stuff
blood
from
is
the
strong.
Caribbean.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. The Caribbean gas. They even, like I said earlier in the video. I hope I said it, but as far as the Caribbeans, like Haiti, Jamaica, even in Brazil, they
Right?
still worship Nana Baruku, and a lot of the old Orishas, they still worship them. They have not forgotten about that strong magic. You know what I mean? And when
Hmm.
it comes to like, and also the Caribbeans, like the Haitis, the Jamaicas, where's it? Brianna is from? What is that? What's she? Rihanna's from? Oh, I can't think of the name. Um,
Caribbean Islands, you got the Bahamas, Jamaica. That's why I'm taking a trip this summer, near the end of the summer. I'm
it's
going. I'm going to Georgetown in Guyana in South
cool.
America.
Really, Barbados. Thank you, Aries Queen.
Barbados. Okay.
That they practice voodoo and those other types of Orisha spirituality. That Santeria, that's powerful magic. But that blood is strong over there.
Mm-hmm.
But because of slavery, and because of what happened to a lot of our ancestors, our our blood is so diluted,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's why my grandmother said you should never, you know what I mean, just leave it alone. Don't even think about it. Your blood not strong enough.
I can agree with that. If you're not strong at heart and mind, you shouldn't mess with anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause like I said, I'm so inquisitive. I'm not trying to do no other form of voodoo besides the blood work. That's it. That's all.
Mm.
But anything else, it would satisfy me. So
Right here.
I just, yeah, listen to what my grandma I'm saying. Just look at it from afar, read about it from a distance, and let
Yeah.
it alone. Cause child, I don't think Baba Leg will coming down hit me over my head. Cause he think I'm something other than black. Hey,
Oh.
Sheba. Okay, hold on, wait a minute. Wait a minute, I'm still 8 But yeah, the bloodline, your bloodline has to be if you truly wanna do that type of work, your bloodline needs to be really, really strong.
Oh no, I'm not interested in doing
Oh
that.
no, I
Real.
know. I'm just saying in general. Just
Yeah,
being a curiosity.
I'm just so curious as why. I know we've been diluted as a culture. I know
Yeah.
this,
Uh-huh.
and a lot of it stemmed from when they brought us all over here. Everybody didn't speak the same language. That's another
Yeah,
thing we have to look
that's
at.
true too. They had to communicate. A lot of our ancestors had to communicate through like song, which means chanting, or
Hmm.
musical instruments.
And
Dance.
and then they had to learn the other tribal language in order for them to actually communicate. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. But
because I,
music, but believe it or not, music, which
yeah,
even right now, when it come to black people and music, you could be
oh
having a
yes,
bad day. You turn on your music, you turn on that melody, and it calms you down.
hmm
And even if you like jazz music, or it doesn't have to have words. It just calms you down, and it kind of eases you, right? And
yeah,
so through things like the drums, you will know. You might not be able actually speak the language, um, with a group of tribesmen on another plantation. But when they start beating them drums and you start hearing the melodies, you know that it's somebody. I'm just not on this in this place, in this crazy place with these crazy white folks whipping me and beating me. There are other people here,
there
right?
are other people,
And
right?
so, and from those drums and from that music launched a lot of slave revolts that a lot of people don't like to talk about. It's more than just Nat Turner's slave revolt. There were slave revolts. A lot of the slaves, a lot of our ancestors were always revolting on these plantations. You
Yes, they
know,
were
and so that's
definitely.
why they were treated. That's why um our ancestors, when the revolt was over, those that weren't killed, they were treated so harshly. They did Nat Turner so bad. They whipped him, they burnt him.
Burned them up.
After he was dead, they took his
Yeah.
skin off his body. They stuffed his hair with a pillow. They made lampshades and stuff out of his skin. And they actually ground his his bones
hmm
down and made soap out of it. That's how much they hated Nat
Hated
Turner.
him. Yeah.
Yeah,
But they turned him into something that was used for good because with soap you cleaning yourself. You see what I'm
right. But
saying?
they didn't realize that. They
Yeah.
ignorant. Yeah.
I
You know,
understand. Like I said, it's their history. When they say his story is his story, and it's mainly that white man, because we haven't gotten a chance to really write our own history books per se of
right.
how we felt about being treated or how our ancestors might have felt about how they've been treated. There was an
Right.
interesting story though this morning on the news I was watching. Oh, I forgot what this grandmother graduated from a college, and in her yearbook, there was two. They were only the two black students in the college. I think it was in North Dakota,
Mm,
but the grandmother's picture was left out of the yearbook.
mm.
Now there was two. It was her and a male. They were both black, but the male, because he was an athlete, quote unquote, his picture ended up in a yearbook, but they left
Oh
her
wow.
picture out. But
Oh wow.
75 years later, her daughter is graduating from high school, and she dedicated a page to her grandmother with her senior
Oh,
picture in it.
oh,
Yeah, that
that is
was
awesome. Did you say Dakota? Somewhere in the Dakotas?
out in North Dakota, I think it was. I can go back up in there and pull the story up because I think I got it on my news feed off of my app that I have. I can get the news from all over every 50th states here in the United States. I can get the news, but I think
Right.
that story came out of New York where they were
Mm.
talking about this woman from North Dakota graduated
Oh
from high
wow.
school 75 years ago
Oh
because she
wow.
was black. They purposely left her out the yearbook her senior year,
Wow.
and her granddaughter uh, found the picture of her, and she dedicated a whole page to her grandmother because they left her out of the yearbook, and she had her grandmother put in her yearbook graduating this year as a senior. So it's a
That is
very
awesome.
it is
That is
awesome.
awesome. That is
It's,
beautiful.
mhm.
She still honored her grandmother,
I
all
honored
these
this.
decades later.
Yeah, all these years later, and her grandma was so surprised. And those are kind of beautiful stories that I like to see out there. And, it's been a lot of hellish things going on in the last month now.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Even on our YouTube channel, it's getting to be
Yeah.
crazy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah. But
anyway, back to
even
this.
oh no, I'm just gonna say, when it comes to um places like North and South Dakota,
Hmm
um, I was trying to read something. When it comes to places like North and South Dakota and places like that, you always think of the First Nation people, or the American Indians, if you will.
Right.
Um, and what a lot of people, you got people on here like Dane Calloway and people like that. They always fail to mention, yes, there were black people in the Americas prior to slavery, but what they always fail to mention is that certain Indian tribes like the Cherokee Indians, they also own slaves as well.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to, but instead he would rather, lie and say the Atlantic slave trade never existed. We were always here. We were the original Indians, and all of this knowledge, just totally,
Yeah.
trying to disprove this fact, that we were taking, a lot of us, ADOS people, were taken, from Africa, right?
Right.
And
Exactly.
I don't even understand why he does that. But you're not talking about the fact that a lot of Indian tribes
Black
own
slaves.
slaves as
Yeah.
well. Now it
Right.
wasn't quite the same as chattel slavery because you could like it was more of an indentured servitude sort of thing, and
Hmm.
when your time was done, you could assimilate into the tribe. You could even marry into some
Into
of some of
some
them.
of them, not all of them.
Not
Yeah.
all of them. Not all of them want you fooling with their women and or men or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But some of them you could like assimilate yourself into the tribe, and you can marry and have a family and stuff like that. But nevertheless, you still were bought. You still were a slave. You
Right.
still were bought.
Because they actually traded us off like goods to the Indians, to get
Right,
the supplies that they needed from the Indians. They would trade
right,
us off to an Indian.
right. Right. It's a lot of stuff that the history books in school don't talk about. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't like when black people get on and try to just totally discount like that. Dane Calloway, he kills me. There never was an Atlantic slave trade. I'm thinking, huh?
Well, where's he at? I mean, what books is he reading? Not are, because that's crazy grammar. I mean, there's a lot of things that I found out in my later forms of life when I started reading and looking back and say, well, I be damned,
Hmm.
you know.
Yep.
But
And when
like,
when black people holler, what do black people like that? Some black people like to holler, I'm part Indian, or so I got Indian in my blood, and and all this and all that. I be thinking, do you know the origin of that?
no, dear,
Do you
I
know the
haven't.
origin of that?
Mm-mm.
That's what I always be thinking. Do you know the origin of why you got Indian in your blood?
You know what? I heard. You know what? And, and and you know what? The tribe that my mama would always talk about, Blackfoot Indians.
Now it's said that the Blackfoot Indians were um here pre slavery.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But we know that, and because of that, we know that um when it comes to Africa, a lot pre-slavery, centuries before slavery, centuries before the white man ever even knew about the continent. A lot of Africans were sailors, right? They were
Oh
sailors.
yeah,
They would go yeah,
we had sailors and merchant marines as they called
yeah,
them.
yeah, and they came to places, we're all over the place. China, ancient
Yeah.
China, here in America, that's what they're calling some of the Indian tribes, which is absolutely possible. Um, where else? Like I said, China. A lot of people don't know about the Chinese Africans, the Asian Africans. And there are other places too, Sicily over there. Them Sicilians. Shoot, they look.
Sicilians. Yeah.
They are very, very, very close kin to Africans, right? Even to this day, they put perms in their hair and everything. Them
Yeah.
Sicilians, right? Because we know that the African sailors conquered that land and start sleeping and marrying and breeding with their women, right? But they don't
Yeah.
like to talk about them.
No, they don't want to talk about that.
Them
Mm-mm.
Italians don't want to talk about that, but they act more black than black folks do. Some of them, Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
it's going to be very interesting. I just wish that I could live another 100 years to see how society as a whole will start accepting people, or what are we going to become as a race of people? Because there's so much mixed racing going on. There's so
Yeah.
much things that people are looking at and say, hey, I really don't care anymore. You can't tell me that you're more superior than I am, especially when it comes to loving someone. You see what I'm saying?
Listen, here's the thing though. I think that, and you are older than I am, Mr. Carruthers, so you would know. You done seen more than I done seen. And but from what I can see, before we can move, it's like we're not evolving. It's like we've come to a point. I'm talking about people in general, humankind
Hmm.
in general. It seems like we're devolving. It's because, and I think the reason why we're devolving as a people, is for a whole lot of reasons. But I think that because we refuse to learn from our mistakes, that is
Right.
why we're devolving. And when it comes to the United States of America, these when it comes to white supremacy, racism, and white male patriarchy, it is
Hmm.
refusing to bend to even an inch. Even when you talk about the when it comes to gun control, they are refusing to budge an inch, right? And
Right.
when it comes to, and my issue sometimes when it comes to interracial relationships, you got the right to do what you want, but I don't think you should have to just like totally dismiss your culture or turn against your culture just
Right.
cause you want to sleep with a, or be with a
Be
non-black
with a
person.
non-black person. But
You
the
know,
thing of it is, where does our culture begin at? What you see
well,
what I'm saying?
I think that unfortunately, as time goes on, as more of us assimilate, and we are becoming a more mixed culture when it
Hmm.
comes to black people in particular, and because we don't have a whole lot of elders anymore, passing down the old ways. A lot of things are becoming forgotten. A lot of young people, you'd be surprised how many young people don't even know anything about the civil rights movement, right? They
True.
don't even
So very
realize if
true.
it wasn't for the civil rights movement, your schools would still be segregated, right?
Yes.
And so, and I don't even think even Dr. King foresaw what's going on now. You know what I
Mm-mm.
mean?
Right.
Because even before he died, his one of the great quotes was, "I think that uh, I have, um, I have, the part about the bringing the people, integrated my people into a burning house, or whatever." Because I think he foresaw what was trying to go on, and a lot of black people don't even realize when it came to integration, it wasn't even about human rights. It was because of economics.
Hmm.
Same reason why
That's
they're
why
gonna.
he got, a lot of people don't realize he got killed over economics. Really?
Yeah, because when he launched the Poor People's Campaign, as
Mm-hmm.
long as he was talking about civil rights and human rights, he was good. But he got killed when he launched the Poor People's Campaign because he was no longer advocating for. He went from advocating only for the human rights of black people, advocating for the human rights and equal rights, and economic empowerment to,
Economics, right? That
for
the
non-black people as well.
right during that garbage strike in Memphis. That's
Yeah,
what it started there, and that's part of economics right there.
yeah,
So
yeah,
people got
yeah.
to realize he was not only for all this equality stuff, but putting people on the same playing field, being able to go out there and make the same money as that white man was making. That's
Right,
all it really was. And
right,
they didn't want to
right.
hear that, and they still don't want to hear it now.
They
Really.
still don't want to hear it now. But when they call themselves integrated, and also a lot of black people don't realize when we were separate, our communities were thriving. We had like
Yes.
our own
Yes.
cabs, our own grocery stores, our own hotels, our own theaters. It was
Hmm.
there were much more segregated, thriving communities. More than just there was more than just a Black Wall Street. Oh
Right.
shit, my phone. I hate that.
It,
Talk for a minute, Mr. Carruthers, while I
yeah.
get my
Okay.
sound back in. Cause somebody called
Yeah.
me on the phone, child.
Oh,
Hold on.
it's back in there.
Uh,
It's back in. I can hear you good, but no, it's
shoot.
a lot of things in history
Uh,
that we should, as a black culture, should find out and be more proud of ourselves. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna do some talking tonight, and it's gonna be kind of sketchy. We say we love our people, we love our communities, but we're still doing that same old bull crap that we were doing back in the 40s, the 1920s, and even in the movies today about colorism. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
I
right.
hate that is so
Well, what is going
asinine.
on in the B sector about colorism? Are they still arguing about colorism?
Yeah, they had it up a couple of days ago. I went to somebody's panel and they were still talking about it.
Was it
And it,
started? Is it the Miss O that keeping the conversation going?
no, I don't want to see a Steve Miss O going. It's they come up in Pizarro's panel, and you know how Pizarro is. Whatever comes up somebody out of somebody's mouth, she's all for it. But Pizarro is against it. I'm against it. I've always been against it. As a culture, why should we worry about the color of another woman's skin or another man's skin?
Right.
It's crazy.
Especially amongst black people. Talking
That's
about
what it's all about amongst black people. You know, it's so crazy. It's asinine. And
what did it start with the Miss O, or they still calling her derogatory names?
well, I don't know. Demon Soul is sort of like, I think I listened to her a little while ago. She wants to change her whole program. And I don't blame her
Hmm.
because, like, I listened to Kwani the other night. Kwani's talking about leaving because she's tired.
Yeah, I
You
got
know,
time too. Anytime the reason why I haven't been over there and I really don't know what's going on is because anytime you get a group of village idiots running the show, it ain't nothing I can do for them. Okay, like I refuse.
yeah. Mm.
I cannot. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm not gonna deal with that nonsense and that them ignorant, that one of them ignorant heifers in particular. I refuse. Do you hear me? I'm not even gonna be able to do it, and I mean it. I
Yeah.
said, you know
Well,
what? I'm going to let them have it until a different breed roll back around. I ain't gonna. And then they got that Death Star running plays over there. I heard about Spiller Boy's channel being hacked and
been
all that.
hacked and all that kind of stuff. See, we're doing that to ourselves as a culture. Why are we doing it to ourselves? That's crazy. Even though I may not like what you say, you have a right to say it. And
Absolutely.
and if I get tired of it, I turn you off. I'll go somewhere else.
Red Vine said it's Dory, Brooke, and Misunderstood. Now I know Dory is lighter hued. Brooke is says she's lighter hued and Misunderstood. I heard she was getting ready to go do a OnlyFans with Tommy Sotomayor.
Oh
I
Lord.
mean, he gonna
See,
drop her to
I know
suicide.
those are kind of stories that no matter how we try to pull ourselves together, it looks like somebody's always doing some fuck shit to where that white
Yeah.
men are look and say, you see, they still animals. You see, they still like to run around screwing each other and acting fools, calling each other names and stuff. You know, show them that we got some kind of intelligence on here. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
You're right about the
Everybody.
water sniper in them Italian movies. They always try to prove the fact that they 100% Italian. Uh huh.
Hmm.
Yeah, they don't want, especially them Sicilians. They don't want to claim no black blood, child, no black blood
None
at all.
whatsoever. None
They
whatsoever.
know that Sicilian blood is got a whole lot of like
Hmm.
Saida said, a lot of that sub-Saharan African in them.
Well,
Yeah, but
ma-
I hate that they over there still talking about that. But I really think that um they won't. I don't even know what's going on. Maybe they don't have nothing else to talk about. But I refuse to get into that when they was talking about the colorism issue over
mhm.
there because really it's. I felt like they was targeting what's her name? I feel like they was just targeting um
Even so.
yeah, the Miss O. Like I
Hmm.
really just feel like it. And so
Yeah.
so is that what is Dorian Brooke
But
coming
see,
for? Are they coming?
that's what I'm saying. I can't see myself picking a woman because of the color of her skin.
Yeah, another black
I
woman.
want her to be intelligent. I want her to be smart. I want to have a business mind. You see what I'm saying?
They just
And
want
don't
to hurt her. They just want to hurt the Miss O. If this was going on.
but she is a beautiful,
Yes,
beautiful,
she is. I love her
beautiful
skin color. Yeah, absolutely.
black woman. Yes, her skin when she came up and did that live, I was fascinated with her. She is beautiful, and
Don't she
she
live in
okay.
Mississippi or somewhere?
mm,
Don't she live in Mississippi or somewhere like
I,
that?
I I don't know where she lives at,
Hmm.
and but I know one thing: we need to, and especially women. I look at the women's sector sometimes, and boy, y'all can be so evil towards one another.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's a tech fight.
Yeah, that's why I say I try to stay out of it. I don't want to take sides with nan woman because in the end, like you said, in the end, you can become the best of friends, and then hear that man sitting up there looking like a jackass because he stuck his 2 cents in it. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
that's the same way it is with men. Let us argue, and then hey, if we decide to be friends, we're gonna be friends. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to take you out to a point to where nobody wants to be around you, and nobody wants to say anything to you because of the
Right.
color of your skin.
Oh, that's ridiculous, especially amongst
That's
black people.
yeah, amongst
You know
black
what I mean?
people.
I know
That's what
that's
I'm
ridiculous.
saying. Amongst
Amongst
black
black
people.
people. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's
That's
been
ridiculous.
nice. It's been nice being up here with you today, Miss Olivia. And
Okay, man. Thanks for
I will.
stopping by, Mr. Carruthers. I sure do appreciate it.
Oh,
But like I said, we're
I'll
gonna have
be
to
with
watch
you a
it
lot of
down.
I'll be with you a lot of times. I just don't say anything. But when you started talking about the spirituality and everything else, I said, well, I got to come up here and see if I get some sense out of my head what she's saying to me about
Yeah.
it.
I figured it'd be a
So
fun topic. You know what I mean? And then, like I
yeah,
said, you got a lot of black folks that's even scared to broach the subject. You know.
yeah.
And then when they broach the subject, I heard that thing over there, that male, not that man over there. One time, he was going around telling people I was a witch and I'm gonna put voodoo on him. I said, what's his name? Lord, what's the fool's name? With no teeth over there. The death part. Uh,
You
I
see,
forgot his name.
that's another thing. Why do men sit up and try to cut down a woman when they know they came from a woman's womb? Yeah, I
You
can't
know,
understand that.
that's part of the topic of the title of the video, the gender wars. Because on this other space where I've been doing content, you got men, they call them manosphere and all this and all that, but they spend their time worrying about wigs and nails, and they really extra emotional, and
Well,
so yeah,
there's nothing with a man being
try
emotional,
to
but he
insert
shouldn't.
themselves. No, no, they try to insert themselves into women's,
Women's topics and
arguments.
conversations. So yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
I know what
ain't
you're
even
saying.
talking. Don't even, you ain't got to be talking to or about them. Don't have to mention their name or nothing. Next thing you know, you got a video about you, and you ain't even paying no attention to these folks around here.
That's the
And
way.
I'm thinking, well, what do you have to do with anything? Ain't nobody talking to or about you. Are you okay?
Well, I don't know. I want to say it's the nature of the beast, but we're not beasts. We're supposed to be
That's why
human
we devolving
beings.
devolving as a future as humankind and black people in the particular. One reason why we still got so much strife going on with us is actually because of us, in my opinion. Is because we fail to, a lot of us, especially our males that say they want to lead but they really don't, for a whole lot of reasons, but
Right.
because of ego
Thank
of
you.
some black men and women, they refuse to prostrate themselves and worship what is greater than them. However you want, whatever it is you choose to worship, you refuse to acknowledge of the thing that is greater than you, and which is your almighty creator, right?
Right.
Because we are so ego minded, some of us as a people, that we feel like we the creators.
And well,
You
I
know
know I'm not the creator
exactly,
because
but we
every
dependent
day that I
sometimes.
wake up and hear of somebody them passed on, especially
Right.
the younger generation,
Yes.
that makes me say thank you, God, even more. I'm here another day to see what you got to offer.
Right. Right. Right.
So,
Yeah, you're
and
right
I
about that.
and
It's
I would
crazy.
be foolish if I didn't listen to somebody, even if we don't agree on things. At least listen to them because that listening might poke another thought or idea in my head. Well, you know what? Try it like that and see how it works.
Right, or at least consider. You know what I mean? Consider
Yeah, right.
something better than your black ass. Okay. I like it. Consider that somebody waking you up in the morning, boo.
Hmm.
But yeah, but they choose to shoot. They praise money over God these days.
Oh yes, see, then that's another thing.
That's
Yeah,
their God,
I'm not the richest man in the world, but I'm sure in the hell not the poorest. But
right?
I also know that that man is providing for me every day,
Exactly, exactly.
every
I know where
day.
it's coming. I know the source. I know
Right.
the source. At the end of the day, but a lot of them they so silly because they don't know nothing. They ain't never been taught nothing. They ain't even willing to consider nothing unless it's in a rap song. And even if it's in a rap, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
On the
Eh, eh,
internet, they let the
eh,
internet run their mindset. They don't have no critical thinking skills. So if they tell you it ain't no God and you supposed to be an atheist, they be like, okay, and they running with it.
mm,
Some of them.
well, only thing I hope that someday, some way, somehow, somebody will come back and give us the glory. Tell us,
Well,
hey,
they say that we really are coming. We really are rushing or marching towards the end times now. And they saying that there will soon be the Antichrist will reveal himself, and all of this and all of that.
mm-hmm.
And if you get to if even if you and it's not only the Christians saying that, the Islam is saying that,
Well,
and
you know, I got my
whole bunch of
theory on the
other.
Antichrist, don't you?
But your thing, right?
He was here, but the good Almighty upstairs got him out of there.
Yeah, but I mean he's stronger now, honey, because these demons is running rampant. Do you hear me? They all
Yeah,
over the internet, child, these
y-
days. And so I'm thinking
yeah,
he's making a comeback, child. He's making a comeback.
yeah, right. Somebody gonna be Gabriel and blow that horn on his behind. You watch, see.
There you go. It's in the Bible with Jesus come back this time, it ain't gonna be no more water. It's gonna be fire next time. So
That's right. That's right. And you think about all them volcanoes going off around the world too. See, so.
okay,
Hmm.
okay.
Well,
Mm-mm.
sweetheart, it's great talking with you. Great seeing you up here. And you have a lovely, lovely day. And bless the family. And keep on doing what you're doing, Miss Olivia.
Okay, thank you,
Just
Mr.
be you.
Brother.
All right,
Thank you.
sweetheart.
All right. Good night.
Bye bye. Good night.
Whatever's Mr. Carruthers, y'all. He is smart. Mr. Carruthers is a lot older, but yeah, it's a lot going. Crystal F said Trump. You think you think that's the Antichrist, Crystal F. Trump? Nah, he's too stupid. That ain't him. I refuse. You gotta be smarter than that. That just don't make no sense to me. Oh, child. Not him. Mm-mm. And he ain't even charismatic enough. I don't think this gonna happen. I don't think it's him. But I tell you one thing, he sure is wanting to be like a Hitler or something or Putin. He wanting to run things around here, child. He wanting to do that. Mm-mm. I tell you that now. Everybody is supposed to fall. Yeah, that's what they say. Everybody's supposed to fall. Well, now unless you are using that third eye chakra of yours, you know, and then they say not everybody's going to be a believer or a follower of his, but they say in the book of Revelations to where if you refuse the mark, they'll put you to death, even to the point to where um you know uh uh they referenced something from the book of Revelations when it was Columbine, when they was praying to God and they were saying, will you die for him, and all of this and all of that, and which is a reference for what the Romans were asking the Christians when Christ was, get ready to be crucified on the cross. Would you die for him? And so yeah. But that's a good question though. Will you accept the mark or will you die for him? That's deep when you think about it. Like, I mean, you could be like, no, I won't accept it, or hey, lady T, how you doing? But really, when it comes to your soul, and forever. So, like, will you be willing to die for the sanctity of your soul, or will you just be too afraid and you accept the beast? That's a good question. In my opinion, like what would you do? But anyway, they say we are coming up on that time. And a lot of people think that people my age. Yeah, we was talking about the Orisha history. You welcome, Mr. Carruthers. Oh yeah, it's fine, Lady Tia. How about I hope everything's going well in your world, love. But yeah, when we first came on, I was talking about Orisha, a couple of stories from the Orisha, and then we went on to start. You know how we start with something and end with something else, child. But yeah, that's what they say. What y'all think? What would you say, Aries Queen, if you was asked that question? Most people are going, yeah, that's yeah, Mella. I agree. I agree. Most people are going for it. Yeah, absolutely. Most people are going to accept that mark. See, they say they're trying to trick you and put that mark up. You welcome, Frisky. They trying to trick you and put that mark in you now. With all this stuff that's going on. That's what I believe. But after they get tired of tricking you, and when they just snatch every last bit of freedom you got, that's when you're gonna start asking that question. That's when things are gonna start turning for the worse. When they take all that freedom away from you. So yeah, but it'd be interesting to see what our people will do. Will all of them just go for it and accept the mark, or will some people say, "Nope, I'm not. I don't want it," and yes, I will die for him. Each gender is thinking of each other is the bottom of the hierarchy, which, in my opinion, is the core of the divide and conquer. And doing that is manifesting today. I can agree with that a little bit. That thinking needs to stop so we can reverse the manifestations. You know what? I can agree with that because even in the story, you see how Nana Baruku, she was strong enough to overpower Ogun, and when Ogun broke free, he didn't appreciate it, so he went to the other male identified deities, and they got Obatala to go trick Nana Baruku and try to take her power away from her because they didn't appreciate being judged by Nana Baruku and her feminine energy. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I agree with you. Question: you think that there is more steps to the mark? I think there is, Mr. Carruthers. I think we're in the midst of some of those steps. Absolutely. Uh-huh. I sure do. Most will have no choice. No other resources to survive. With no other resources to survive. Yeah, and I think that's why they asked the question, are you willing to die for him? So, you know, the mark, in my opinion, is already here. Yeah, I agree with that, and many more to come. Absolutely, because right now you're being given a choice whether to take it or not. We see all this stuff that's going on, all this stuff they're trying to inject in us. Even to our babies, it's like they come out mini computers and stuff. Have I talked about the food shortage areas? No, and I probably talked about it in passing, but there is no need in this country, um, for us to have a food shortage in this country. There is no need. The way they treat the farmers around here, especially the black farmers, but farmers in general, and they will rather import stuff like grain from other countries rather than activate the farmland that we have here in this country. And there's a reason why Bill Gates has so much land. Because he wanted to try to block out the sun. People don't know that his father was a eugenicist. Just crazy as a Betsy Bug. People said there has been thousands of studies on reincarnation, hypnosis, and past life regression. I 100% believe we incarnate multiple times on Earth. Let me hold on, Mella. Let me put my thing up just in case this ain't you, child. You know how that go. But yeah, is this you, Mella? Mella, is this you,
Yes,
Mella?
yes,
Oh,
it's
okay.
Mela.
Okay. Hey, how you doing?
I'm just hoping I'm not Borgin. Am I clear?
Yeah, yeah, you clear. Uh huh. Yeah, you clear.
I, I wanted, I would like, and appreciate if we could discuss how your topic differentiates from destiny.
Okay.
I
Okay.
I'm fascinated with spirituality, of course,
Mhm.
and then there comes this conflict about destiny.
Okay.
Like there are things that occur in life that are unexplained. Like, wow, I was a lucky son of a gun in this
Yeah.
circumstance and it saved me, that type of
Yeah.
thing. And then
Yeah.
there are others that were not so fortunate in the same situation. And
Yeah.
so I'm just wondering if you have any insight that you could uh be
But
so
you
kind.
could you
Yeah,
give
go
me an
ahead.
example of what you mean by destiny? Could you be, could you articulate
Okay.
it a little bit more?
All right, financial independence.
Okay.
By all accounts, my aunts wanted to groom me to be a man's wife, right? That's the value that they saw in me as a quote unquote cute little girl. Like, ooh, and so they wanted to build me to be attractive for some upper echelon of men, right? So they wanted to, put me in, debutante balls, all this other kind of stuff that would make me refined and cultured, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And when I started to clue in, something came over me where I clued in into the systematic control that they were having over my mother. They were telling my mother, because they are highly educated and she is not. She graduated from high school, as opposed to them who are doctorates in whatever, many fields. One is a, dare I say, a pharmacist, a doctor of pharmacy. And, she's leading the charge like, well, this is what you got to do to make sure that she's set up so she could take care of you. Right. That was the plan. Now, in hindsight, the plan was to set me up to be in a position where I could take care of my mother, which is cool. They could have said that from the very beginning. I might have went for it, but the way they went at it was very narcissistic in its tactic. And so it was just rubbing me the wrong way. And as they were just constantly telling me about how much I'm going to owe them in loyalty and obedience because they're paving the way for my future with the education and everything that they were going to provide and keeping me safe. We kept you safe? Do you know what's happened to women uh in our generations? No, you don't know, because we've kept you safe. We have plans for you and you don't have a choice. That type of narrative, right? And so I'm just like, okay, as a little girl growing up. But as puberty set in and I started, I guess, different types of neurotransmitter pathways, I'm like, wait a minute, something about this is real fucking controlling, and it just didn't. As a matter of fact, they kept me away from ratchet friends, which I'm grateful for, to where, I was just assigned to, read the encyclopedia as a pastime and develop the craft of sketching, Black history, icons. I was kept away from the environment that I was in
Right.
that would have
Right.
otherwise went into, gang activity and stuff like that.
Right.
So anyway, my point is, venturing off. I know I'm venturing off. What I'm trying to point out is that what I had realized is that I didn't want to be beholden to an obligation that I didn't sign up for. If I'm going to sign up to an obligation, it's going to be on my terms. And that's why I joined the military, because I
Mhm.
had found that my grandfather was the most open minded and accepting person that I had experienced in our family. And I just thought to myself, it would be a great tribute to try to embark upon that, since they're offering this quote unquote free education. At the time, there wasn't a war. See,
Mhm.
this is why I got fucked up in the game, right? At the time, there wasn't a war. I'm like, yeah, sure. I joined the military and, and I joined the Air Force. Next thing I know, in the middle of it, there comes this war. And I signed up for I signed up for a wartime job, but I signed up for it because there wasn't a war. And I'm like, well, what easier job can there be than to sign up for a wartime job when there isn't a war? You really ain't got to do shit. See, I thought I had it all figured out, right? And next thing I know, I'm caught up in a war and I'm working like a man, okay? Because this is the first time a woman, I'm one of the first women that have been introduced to what was previously known as an all-male AFSC, right? Weapon systems mechanic, loader, all that good shit, right? And so when the war embarked, they were like, we're not going to do your job for you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay.
I hear you clearly and fine. The situation of me being afraid was not afforded to me. I was basically told that we're not going to do your job for you. You're qualified to be here. And if you want to earn the glory that you signed up for, you're going to do this job, or you can punk out and leave now. And I decided that I didn't want to go home embarrassed. So I stayed and did my job, even if it was going to kill me, because I didn't want to go home, quote unquote, embarrassed. Like, oh, she couldn't cut the mustard, that type of thing. Right. So it did damn near kill me. Right. But anyway, what I'm saying is circumstances and situations would have it where I wasn't injured at all. There were a lot of people in that position that were physically maimed and injured and encountered a whole bunch of irreversible conditions. That didn't happen to me. There just happened to be a person that said, this is the way you hold your body frame when you're loading that missile. This is the way you heal your fingers when they're bleeding. There were people that were teaching me how to preserve my safety along the way of a dangerous occupation. Right. So fast forward. Okay. I'm into a particular situation where I'm thinking I'm invincible because I survived the war, right? I'm thinking I'm invincible. So I walk my happy ass at 2:00 in the morning in the hood of my cousin's area to the store because I thought I could, and I didn't have a weapon on me. I left the weapon at a house and I'm walking down. Next thing you know, this guy grabbed me, right? Grabbed me out of nowhere. Grabbed me and tried to pull me into an alley talking about, you know what this is? You know what this? I was like, oh shit, my Glock is at the house. My Glock is at Piper's house. What the? And I'm stunned. I'm like, okay, what do you want? You want some money? You want some money? I got some money. You want some money? He was like, no, bitch, you know what this is. You know what this is. And he's dragging me. And next thing you know, this car comes down the alley, right? And turn its lights on. It wasn't the police. Turns its lights on and said, Earl, is that you? And Earl was like, nigga gone. He was like, no, that's Sean's sister, man. What the fuck is you doing, man? Get the fuck out of here, man. And he left. He ran off. And it was like, are you all right? I was like, I gotta go. I just ran. And I'm just saying that if it wasn't for that car pulling up that knew that nigga's name, because the way he grabbed me, I couldn't see his face. And the way he grabbed me, putting my hand behind my back and me trying to, kick his leg from under wasn't gonna work. He knew just how to grab me. I was like, God damn, this is fucked up. And basically I didn't get harmed. And what I'm saying is, was it fate that I didn't get harmed? Was it my destiny that I've never, not ever been accosted or overpowered physically or sexually or anything like that. And I'm
Mhm.
not saying that to boast. What I'm saying is there are women who I totally adore who have not, who may not have encountered the same type of affordance,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so a lot of times it's difficult to have conversations with women um that I have that level of compassion for, but I can't relate to it. And I'm wondering
Mhm.
if the hindrance as to why I can't relate to it is that I believe in fate as
Mhm.
opposed to just being cool and just being cool. Just like, look, you know, because I'm not one of those better you than me type of people. I would like to believe I'm not that. I would like to
Uh-huh.
believe I'm not one of those better you than me
Mhm.
type of people. What I choose to
Yeah.
believe is that there is a such thing as destiny and fate. And
Mhm.
a lot of people may not want to discuss that because of the injustices and atrocities and of occurrences
Mhm.
that it's like, because a lot of people where things have happened to them, they didn't deserve it at all. They were
Right.
in a situation and a circumstance that didn't call for that. Okay.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
yet an atrocity happened. And
Right.
I'm not qualified to counsel anybody about that because I don't have those type of credentials,
Right.
regardless of regardless of whether or not I've studied for that.
Right.
I haven't been accredited to to counsel someone. So the only thing I
Mhm.
can do is just talk in a realm of openness. Like I'm open
Mhm.
to just
Yeah.
converse with people that seem like they want to converse. That's the way I
Right.
show up and show out. I'm not trying to be better than anybody or sneak and do or what. I don't even know what the fuck people want from me. All I know is that I can learn and
Mhm.
I can say what I wouldn't suggest. I
Right.
can say that. Like I'm not here to say I'm here to teach people. I'm not that fucking
Yeah.
arrogant, okay? I'm lucky to be
Right.
alive for God's sakes. All I can
Right.
say is what I wouldn't suggest. Anyway, back to my original
Mhm.
question. Now that you've heard two specific circumstances about how
Mhm.
I was afforded the opportunity to retire early with financial
Right.
security enough to take care of myself
Right.
because of the situation where I became classified as a decorated war veteran, okay, which was unanticipated for me, and as opposed to, going to be a, whatever they had planned for me as a
Mhm.
dermatologist. And then
Well,
also the situation of where I'm thinking I'm invincible enough to walk down walk in the hood at 2 o'clock in the morning,
Mhm.
and damn near got pulled into an alley, and God knows what would have happened to me. And I
Yeah.
was, coincidentally rescued from that. So that's
Well,
what. So those are the two instances. Those are the two
right.
descriptions that I
Well,
offer
first,
to
right. Well, first, I would say I feel like you are blessed somebody. When it comes to living through a war. What war did you fight in?
you. Gulf War.
The Gulf War. Okay, Cloud is on here. He fought in the Gulf War. He's one of my when he chooses to
Yeah,
come over here. He's one of my
yeah. I'm one of
one of
those
my
old.
moderators.
Yeah, I'm that age range.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you was blessed. In my opinion, you was blessed to live through that. I think that you was blessed to not be assaulted in the alleyway. Like Lady Tia said, we all have different walks in life. Let me read you what she said. She says we will never walk the same journey, but the Most High bring people in our lives for reasons, and that's why we shouldn't judge. And then she said we all should speak for our experiences and not try to tell someone else's story. Like I said, I feel like you was a blessed somebody. I think there is a time
Okay,
and a
let's
place.
cover that.
Let me finish. Well, let me finish because you asked me about your two incidences, right? I think that when we go through things of that nature and we live through that, I think we experience that, and just whatever type of thing that you're supposed to learn from it in order to be able, because you never know when you're gonna meet somebody, and because you have gone through what you have gone through and what you have experienced, what you have, because you have experienced those things, you might be able to help somebody. It don't even matter if it's one person, and it's not necessarily teaching. Empathy and compassion goes a long way, right? And you could save somebody's life by simply sharing your story, or simply giving them a smile. We never know why we don't have to go through things, and other people have to go through things. Like some people, like you could be in a car wreck and everybody die in a car wreck, or a plane crash, except for you. We don't know.
Survivor's guilt.
Right, a
Yeah.
lot of it, and I'm glad you said survivor's guilt, because there I seen a little. I was
I'm
watching the.
plagued. I'm plagued with survivor's guilt.
Well, can you imagine an 11-year-old girl, 10, 11-year-old girl being plagued with survivor's guilt? Because I was watching when they were talking in Washington yesterday about the Uvalde students, and that little girl, she the pediatrician in that town, the little girl did a little video, and he played it for the council up there in Washington, and she was saying that the only reason why she survived is because one of her friends or her teachers or something was beside her, and she rubbed blood all on her, so
I
that the
heard her
blood would
voice.
through
I
her.
heard
Yeah,
I heard the crack in her voice when
yes,
she
can
was
you imagine?
describing what she saw,
Yeah.
and
It's like
she'll
she had
never
went
be
through
the same.
war, right? Yes, it's like she had went through war, her own personal war, and no, she would never. Her innocence has been snatched away from her, and like you said, she got to deal with survivor's guilt, and ain't no telling what else. I know that shooting, it wasn't Columbine, it was the Parkland shooting. One of the fathers, he eventually killed himself because he was so grief stricken that his child had died, in that Parkland shooting, and I hope that don't happen to that little girl, because like you mentioned, survivor's guilt, and we don't know why we have to go through what we go through. But I really, I always hope it's for the greater good, you know. And I really think that for whatever reason you have lived through those experiences, and that is your testimony. You got a story to tell. You never know who you can save by telling your or sharing your story. So that's what I think. But go ahead, Mel.
Yeah,
Mel.
I would
Yeah.
like to think that I'm not arrogant enough. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to think I'm not arrogant enough to believe that I can interject myself into someone's call for distress, right?
Uh huh.
And that's where I have to be careful, showing up as a know-it-all. You see what I'm saying? Just because I have a passion for someone's survival, well-being, and comfort, that doesn't mean I'm qualified to save your fucking mind. Okay? What I can do is help you laugh your way through it. I can do that because in that way you'll develop a sense of humor out of the darkness that had occurred, if possible. And
Sometimes, let me just stop you right there, because
um
guess what? Sometimes that's enough. When you take the time to make somebody laugh through the pain, that is what you are showing them is much more than a laugh. You are showing them empathy and compassion. And you may not be able to even empathize, but if you could just sympathize, that goes a long way. That could sympathy and
mhm.
empathy, laughter, those things, crying with somebody, for God's sakes, that can save somebody's life, and ultimately, because
I'll
I
give
have always been called to serve, right? So I have always, my grandmama told me, if you could just try to help one person in his life, you are blessed somebody. And
yeah,
so, yeah,
yeah.
that's kind of the rule I live by. Hmm.
There's a woman. I don't even know how specific I should get because everybody deserves their anonymity.
Uh-huh.
Um, However, I will describe it as far as I can without offending her because her audience is growing. And this is a
Uh-huh.
woman who initially didn't have an audience. She
Uh-huh.
was she was fucked up in the game. Okay, she was really, really bad, and she was introduced to somebody that uh as a source for assistance to help her out of her fog. That's what I'll call it, fog.
Uh-huh.
And so the way everybody was talking to her on the panel, it wasn't effective. It wasn't really hitting right to get her to understand that life goes on, because she was actually, just she sounded like she was just tired of the situation she was in and she was ready to end her life. And what I had introduced to her was I think they call it the serenity prayer. And I didn't know where I got that from, but I think I got it from my brother, to be honest with you, because he was in recovery. And I just recited the serenity prayer to her in a way that wasn't assertive. It was calm and sympathetic. And from what I understand, of course, she's improved now. She's very articulate and back to herself. From what I understand, she had said audibly that saved her life. And I was just shocked. She was like, what made you say that to me? Because I'm better now, and you don't know this, but that saved my life, because I was shaking, my body was falling apart, and I was just ready to go. And I said, I don't know what did it. I just knew that I'm not here to speak of my own accord. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on for a minute, Sheba. Hold on for a minute. I'm sorry, Melody. Sheba, thanks for renewing your membership. Thank you, love. I appreciate you, babes. Go ahead, Mel. I'm sorry. I was trying to speak to one of my people.
And another, so that's a deep online circumstance. And I'm talking about these two situations. That's the first one. And the second one, these are in relationship to my experiences since I've been online with people that stand out the most. Well, not the most, but they, there have been many, but these two are recent enough. And the second one is this woman that has been bombarded with the conflict of people just chastising her and beating her up and all this other kind of stuff because of the YouTube politics that go on when people target people. And she was just really just like, it's been a rough time. It's been, she just was really upset, for lack of a better word.
Think about that, Mel. I guess I'm kind of I'm indifferent to people internalizing YouTube. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you, but I have seen a lot of people internalize YouTube, and that is a mistake.
Child, they take it there, don't they? They take it there.
When you are visibly upset, all you got to do is turn off your device, honey, and move it right along. Okay. And so I don't.
They have their, but see, this is the thing. They have channels. See, we're not talking about spectators. We're not talking about chat room members. We're talking about people that have invested their lifestyle around this persona they've developed. And when someone,
that's a problem too, because I've been on YouTube. Now, hold on, wait a minute. I do not pattern my form my life around no freaking YouTube. When I hit the button, I hit the button. When I don't want to hit the button, child, I don't hit the button. But what I would never do is internalize it to the point to where I'm trying to pattern my life after what the heck is going on YouTube, child. YouTube.
That's right. That's right. And not being able to separate the two is
that's all I'm saying. I offend some people when I say that, but people are heavily invested, especially people like, I mean, if you I'm gonna say, if you 35, 40 years old and above, and you so heavily invested to YouTube to where you feel like you're gonna have a nervous breakdown and you pattern your life behind something going on YouTube, you taking it serious.
Girl,
you might need to take a chill pill because you too old to be going for some stuff like that. I don't live like that. I don't even
they be tripping.
But let me see, is this my girl? She was hold on a minute. Yeah, that don't make no sense to me. Lady T, is that you?
Hey, Miss O. Yes, it's me.
Hey, girl. How you doing?
Hey, I'm on my way to work, and it just happened to be a motorcycle in front of me, so I'm trying to stay a little bit away from it so it won't be so loud. I was just, oh, hi, I don't know your name on the panel.
Mella.
It's nice to meet you. I'm Mella.
Hi, Mela. Nice to meet you. So I was listening to you, and I wanted to know when, because you had went from a few things, but I wanted to ask you about the when you were saying about faith. Is it faith that you went through certain things and you lived through
Fate.
those
Wait a
things?
minute. Wait a minute. Fate. Fate.
Oh, faith, not faith. Faith
Right.
that wasn't your
Fate.
fate. That wasn't
Right.
your fate to be, to lose your life or something bad to happen to you. That's what you're saying. Why
No,
wasn't your
like
fate,
destiny.
or was
Right.
that fate?
Yeah, I was asking Miss Oracle about destiny and what
Mhm.
she could afford me as far as insight, and then she demanded that I give two situations and circumstances, so I gave it to her, and
Oh,
so but yeah, I'm looking for people that I could converse with about fate, fate, and
hmm,
destiny
Fate and
oh,
destiny.
okay.
in
Now,
I
yeah.
think that
relationship to
we are destined, to do a lot of things. Like me, I have always known that I have been destined to serve others. Do you see what I'm
Mhm,
saying? And that is why when it comes to the Orisha, my spirit calls to Nana Baruku. I consider myself to be a wise person. I don't know everything. I'm always advocating for women and moreover children. And my follow like Lady Tia Sheba, all my Saida, all my people know the number one thing is me advocating for children, right? And and so that's why I so shape my spirit towards her. But I think we are, fated for certain things, certain destiny. We do have certain destinies in our life. Certain destinies. Sister George asked me the other day about manifestations, right? Because I was telling her about. I always got in the back of my mind. I'm always scared for the men, but particularly the women, but particularly the men in my family when it comes to being, killed by the police, in particular. And every time one of my nephew, Lady Till, the 15-year-old, he got a learner's permit, right?
mhm.
And
Oh, shoot.
and so he's driving more and all this and all that. He
Oh,
look
I
like
know you
a man.
scared.
Yeah, I'm scared to death, but I told her, I don't want to manifest it, so I don't speak it. But it is, I can't help, you know, but for it to be in the back of my mind. I mean, because we see it on the news every other month, right?
So that the
Mm.
question is to that, Miss Olivia, because I do that too. I understand that my voice, my tongue is so powerful that I can speak stuff into existence and
Yes,
manifest
yes,
it. And so I
right,
wouldn't say that I have three sons. So I definitely be out here on pins and needles when it comes to my
yes.
sons. But I also know I can't speak it.
I
But
don't speak it, right? But we think.
think it, can we manifest it that way?
The way that yes, honestly, but the way that I choose to offset that is like I choose to do what my grandmama used to do, and I choose to pray about it. I choose to pray about it, and pray about it and pray about it, right? So I don't care what God I gotta pray to, the Almighty or the Lord Orisha, whoever can help me, please help me. Please keep a hedge of protection around my babies, in particular. And that is how I get through it. Because if it was up to me, I would wrap them in a cocoon and keep them close by me every single day, every minute of every single day. Okay. But I
And
know that's not logical, and we can't do that because you gotta let them live, child. You gotta let them live. But I
that's
know my
what they say.
grandmama.
We got.
I know my grandmama is still looking out for me. You know what I mean? I know for a fact. Especially when I was young, my grandmama was looking out for me even after I had, even after she had passed. And I used to hear my grandmama in a prayer closet, um literally praying for all of us. I used to sneak down to the like 34th step and listen to her in the living room, rocking back and forth in her chair, praying and crying, praying and crying, praying and crying about all of us. And so that's the only way I know how to live through it. If it wasn't for that, I'd be done lost my mind worried about these kids, child.
Well, we've been raised to tell, I mean, we've been raised not exactly to tell our boys that, but we do supposed to let our children know in
Oh, I
reality that
absolutely
they
yeah.
do have a
Yeah.
target on their back. But I
You
think
know I
about
done
that
done that,
sometimes.
Lady T. You know I done
I,
done
but
that,
I,
child.
I but I was thinking, as you talking about it, we're
Mm-hmm.
also manifesting that as well, letting them by telling them the truth, which is the
Yeah.
truth. They have to know that truth. But I'm
Yeah.
thinking, do we have to drill that in their head? Um, do we have to drill that in their head that they have a
Uh-huh.
target on their back? They are male, so they are hated upon. Because sometimes I think it can make some of our boys radical in a way
Right.
of they
Yeah,
could also think that every white person may be after them, and it's
Right.
not.
yeah.
But see, here's my
It
thing now,
can, it
Lady
can.
T. Right, but just let me say this, Lady T. You know I'm a little different, and I'm gonna need them to be radical,
I
okay?
think it
And
causes
I'm gonna
them
need
to
them to
be
be smart.
paranoid.
But not paranoid, but aware. Paranoid, but aware. Because see, I'm raising kings, right? And when you are a king and you are a leader, you are a warrior, right? My nephew's name, the one I'm talking about now, is Jabari, and Jabari in Swahili means strong warrior, right? So there's nothing wrong with being aware of your surroundings, and knowing who it is that you're dealing with, right? Now, and you don't, and that don't mean you have to be in. I don't want you to be in fear of nobody because I don't fear nothing bleeding like me. But there's nothing wrong with being aware because I am aware of myself as a black person. I think that it is a mistake not to inform our children, our black children, boys and girls, with as much knowledge as we can. Not fear, but information and how to conduct yourself. Because at the end of the day, all you got to do is get home to me and I'll take care of it. Do you see what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
that's what I tell them. But sometimes when it comes to our boys, collectively, a lot of our men are so, not all, but a lot of our men collectively, not individually but collectively, have become beat down by the system. You know what I mean? They for whatever reason, a lot of them feel defeated. That's why they feel like they got to compete. Some of them against women, even
right.
to the point of getting these sex changes and stuff like that. Right? It's because of what? Because of fear. So you don't want to teach fear, but you want to arm them with
Exactly.
information.
That's the
Right.
awareness versus fear. Right. Don't teach them fear, teach them awareness.
Right.
I agree with you. Yes.
'Cause I'm gonna need
Absolutely.
you to be
Because
strong.
if you teach them fear, that
Right.
makes them paranoid and that makes them choose a route that's alternate
Right.
from a
Right.
warrior.
And white
It's like
supremacy
we're
wants
teaching them
them
to
to
be
fear.
warriors.
Right. Right, white
Right.
supremacy wants them to fear because that's what they did during slavery, right? So they would uplift the black woman. That's why kind of reason why we got a gender war like Nana Baruku and Ogun, right? In a way, is because they would lift the black slave up, and when she had sons, she would know that she would want to protect them at any cost, right? She don't want them to get whipped. She don't want them to get killed by the master. So she'll teach them how to fear the master, instead of them being warriors and fighting against the master. She'll teach them to fear the master because that's the only way she knew how to keep him alive, right? And
Right.
we
That's a
still,
damn shame too.
But
and
that
a
was
lot
that
of
time.
it
That
was
was
that
that
time.
time to
She was doing the
survive.
only thing right. She was the only thing. She was the only thing she knew to have to protect her offspring, right? And the fear was so great in some women that we have already heard the stories that black folks don't like to talk about. The fact that don't you know that some slaves and even after slavery, during the slave clothes and after Reconstruction, some women would kill their offspring so that they wouldn't have to go through the torture that they have had to endure. That is how much fear is encoded in our DNA. That is how strong that is the only thing that they felt they could do because they didn't want their kids to bear what they have had to bear. And so but you
And
That
watch
was in the book Beloved.
yeah, that's right. It was a beloved. Beloved was about that was an actual woman, right?
mm-hmm.
I forget her name. She actually killed her kid. Yes, she
Yeah.
did.
And
There's
in
a
our generation now, there is how instead of teaching fear, because of that time, that is what they were in, and we're not in that time. Now we
right.
can teach our children how to fight them against their own game, which
You
is
have to
law.
learn. You have to learn. That's right, lady. Too. You know what you
Yeah.
got to do. What I teach
Fight them
mine
with their
to
own words
learn,
and
to
their own
learn,
laws.
to learn. Yes, to learn to
And
work within the system. You work within the system. You don't
and
have to run against it because you're going to lose, and you don't want to be put somewhere. But put black on the plantation, which is called the modern day prison. But you learn to work within this system. You don't even necessarily you run against it by learning to work within it. Do you see what I'm saying? If that
when
makes
I
sense.
when I read that book, when
Is
I
that you,
read that,
Koji? Is that
hey
you,
coach,
Koji?
hello.
Yeah, it's me. It's me. That's me. How you doing?
Okay, okay.
Hey, Coach
Go ahead
Lee,
now.
one of my favorite people.
Hey.
Because I like the way she open shares. But also, I wanted to emphasize that when I read that book, what I hadn't considered about what our forefathers have experienced to survive, because you all have to read the book for yourself. So I'm going to keep it uh, as how can I put this? I'm not going to say anything that's too traumatic to hear. What I
Mela,
will
Mela,
You
Mela.
can't say
Before,
nothing too traumatic on this page, honey.
well,
We tell it like it is over here, so say what you gotta say.
before you
Okay,
Cause
say that,
I
before you
live in
finish
the
your
world of
thought,
reality.
I'm sorry. Before you finish your thought, Mela, Miss. Oh, I'm finna go. I'm almost to work. Thank you for having me. I hope I was
safe
able to add to the
travels.
conversation.
Okay, you was. Thank you so much for hitting the panel, lady. Tia, girl, it's
It
been
was
so
a
long.
pleasure to meet you. Safe travels.
All
And
right.
I hope
Thank
to
you. Have a great
talk
one.
with you again. Okay, thank you for your
Girl,
teaching.
get it in for the night shift crew.
Okay, lady
Yes,
T.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What's happening with that book, right? Traumatically speaking, is that black men weren't offered anything other than a white man's dick for nourishment. And that was a shocking revelation. I had actually been protected from the knowledge of atrocities that black men had experienced, not only during slavery but just in all types of situations of compromise. I didn't realize that there are sick-minded oppressors enough. Now I knew that men can brutalize women. I was always aware, like, about the potentiality of a man to brutalize a woman. What I didn't conceive was the potential. What was that men brutalize each other to the
Right.
point where if a man is forced to work under the threat of death and he's hungry, a white man is going to offer his semen as nourishment and he better get back to work. That shit floored me. And
Well,
so
the
I
plus
don't hate
is,
black. I don't, so I'm not
but
trying to
let
beat
me
up
stop
black
you right
men.
there. No, no, no.
But
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there.
that
See,
was some traumatic shit to
right,
read, baby.
right. You talking about buck breaking, and I did a video about buck breaking and what buck breaking do. We know that any type of rape or sexual assault is mostly about power and control, right? So, during slavery, what they would do, in concordance with beating you, or even killing the men, because we were property, right? So they wouldn't kill them all the time. They would whip them, or they would starve them, but also what they would do was sometimes rape the strongest male, like on a plantation. If he was seen to be a leader, right, they would bend him over the stump, and they would rape him, in order to assert their power over that man. Don't So what they were saying was, don't follow. You better not follow him. You better follow me, because I got all the power. And like I said, even to this day, we know that rape is about power and control. And and that's where the term buck breaking came from. But they would do that to assert their dominance over their strong slave, that the other slaves wanted to follow. Now, did that work all the time? No, it didn't work all the time, because there was still a lot of slave revolts now some women actually led slave revolts, but moreover, there were a lot of Nat Turners during slavery.
Let's
That
talk
led
about this
a
though,
lot of
real
slave
quick, real
revolts.
quick. Let's talk about this. Those pictures that we see in historical archives where the man is wearing a caged mask over his face,
Uh-huh.
it's because he's identified as someone that's gonna bite that white man's dick off, and he's only fit to be fucked in the ass. See, people are not talking about this kind of shit, right? They're not
Right.
talking about these pictures that don't explain specifically why some of these people are having these gags over their mouth
Right.
It was actually
and
in fashion
cages.
shows. They
But
actually used that type
But
of thing
yeah, go ahead.
decorated up in fashion shows, and it wasn't until and I don't know if it's true because I didn't do any research on it, but they were walking the runway with these things that go over the people's mouths and stuff, but they
And
had
it's
made them
it,
pretty.
right. It's
Yeah.
it's an identifier, and people are not talking about the historical photos
And then
as to what.
sometimes those. Let me tell you about those things that were over around a man's neck, or even the women. Sometimes they had
Yeah,
those
too.
big prongs hanging out the top of them. Sometimes they put that thing on runaway slaves as well. It didn't always signify rape, but sometimes if you would run away and they didn't want to kill you, they would cut off your foot, or put things like around your neck, like with the prongs coming out of it. Well, a lot of us have seen those pictures, so that you could be easily identified. If you try to run away, you got to remember we were property, right? We were treated as property, and so
But
they
let
would.
them tell it in the movies. They just branded the runaways.
Well, I
See,
mean, that's
they
a
don't.
watered down version. That's a watered down version. They watered it down even more. A lot of young people, they're teaching it in some of the history books, was slavery, was chattel slavery, was tantamount to indentured servitude, and that is just
They're
not
trying to say
true.
it was a work exchange program. We're gonna
Right, right.
that's really how they're
Indentured
trying to sell it. That
servitude,
it
right,
was exchange for
right.
training and housing
Yeah. Yes.
for
Even on at the Statue of Liberty, if you ever been to the Statue of Liberty, when they talk about the slaves, there's a plaque that says that we were involuntary immigrants. It doesn't say the term slavery. You can find it nowhere on the Statue of Liberty. But when it comes to slavery, it was called that we were called involuntary immigrants, as opposed to using the term
slaves.
slave. And so, yeah,
They're
like I said,
trying to
it's
rewrite
watering it
history.
down. Yeah, they're trying to they try to water it down. That's why I don't agree. I understand when some people, when you see them protesting to have these like a lot of these Confederate monuments taken down and stuff like that. I know, like in Memphis, there was a group of black men. They pooled their resources, right, and they didn't know that they were black men, and they bought the Confederate statue of I think it was Robert E. Lee or somebody, right? I can't think of his name in particular, but they bought it, and what they did during the night, they had it took down, they had it removed, right? And so after the white folks found out what they had,
Columbus, I think it was
uh,
Columbus in Chicago. They took
no,
it
I'm
at
talking
night.
about this happened in Memphis, right? And so, but I don't agree. I don't agree with those monuments being taken down. And the reason why I don't agree with those monuments being taken down is because it is the whitewashing of history. I think that the United States of America needs to, on a daily basis, be reminded of the horrific events of chattel slavery. I think we all need to be reminded of what happened to us. That's why they feel like they don't have to give us reparations. They will whether water it down. They have never taken out of the Constitution of the United States of America that we are three-fifths of a human being, that slavery is still slavery is illegal except when you have committed a crime and you have been in prison. That has never been taken out of the Constitution of the United States, and for that reason, I don't think that those monuments should be removed. I think that what they're doing when it comes to the history books, and when it comes to slavery in the history books, a lot of that is being whitewashed by this group of women called the Sisters of the Confederacy, or something like that. I forgot what their name was.
Daughters of the Confederacy or something.
The Daughters of Confederates or something like that, and they are nothing more than freaking KKK members, right? It's a white supremacist
Yep,
female
yep.
organization, right? And so, but you get these men that love these women, right? You can't go nowhere without seeing something like that, either way, vice versa. The black man with the white woman, or the black woman with the white man. And I'm thinking you're totally discounting your future. Now, you love who you want to love, but you don't have to totally turn a blind eye to what was done to you. But that's what the whitewashing of history is doing to this country. So for that reason, they don't even think about or really consider giving us reparations. Everybody
Yes,
else has
sir.
got, even the Japanese have got reparations. When they were put in internment camps, the Jewish people have got reparations.
They
Indians, they got a form of reparations.
they
You know,
programmed us to self genocide, and that's what the fuck is going on. That's why we don't like each other as a people together, because we have been systematically, through DNA, all that good shit, to actually self
Annihilate.
deplete, annihilate.
Self
You
Yeah,
know,
annihilate.
self.
the thing is,
Yeah.
I don't even think it's necessarily that we don't like
If we don't
each
want to fuck
other.
each other, how are we gonna
Um,
remain?
what now? A lot of it is because of assimilation, and a lot of it is because self hate. You see what I'm saying? You got to
Exactly.
realize.
That's the
Um,
annihilation tactic.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's an agenda, just like the gay agenda, in my opinion, is an agenda. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's because a lot of us don't know or don't even knowledge it, and because of propaganda, we have been taught to hate
Miss
ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Miss
We go back
Olivia,
and forth. Huh? Go ahead.
I want to two things. I want to thank you the other day because I saw what you did, and thank you for not allowing me to jump off the bridge. You stopped me from talking about a certain person's daughter, and I
Oh yeah,
saw
yeah, yeah.
you, and I thank you for that because
Oh, you're
sometimes we get
welcome,
on the
George.
panels and we get carried away, and I want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Um, and the other thing is, a lot of times I tell people, and you can give me your opinion. I tell people charter schools are resegregation 2.0. They say, "Oh, you're lying." I'm gonna tell you why. I um I graduated in '92. In small towns, like most people think Florida is Disney World, Miami, but Florida is 60 counties and probably 50 of them redneck. And
Hmm.
here, in the 80s and stuff, they had unofficial segregation. Because in a lot of small towns, you'll have a couple of elementary schools. Then you'll have one middle school and one high school, or maybe a couple of middle schools. But after elementary school, because it's based on this, all of the kids would literally be in the same middle school, white and black. And therefore, they created these small town private schools, and very few white people went to public school after elementary school because generally they all lived in a certain area, and then they can isolate their kids from the majority of black kids because they just had to meet a certain quota of black kids there, but the majority were white. And then the only white kids that attended public school after, I mean, from middle school to high school, were what you would consider, and I don't like this term, poor white trash, or poor people who could not afford to put their kids in public school. I mean, private school. And the charter school system is basically soft walking us back into resegregation. A lot of black people say, "Oh, your kids get to go to it." I was like, no, that's the way they're starting it out. But it's really resegregation 2.0 to use public funds for that. It's going to allow us in now, a few of us, but eventually the long term goal is to really transition money out of the public school system into these charter school systems and stuff, and to reduce segregation. And when I tell people that, they say, "Oh, you're crazy, you're this and that." Officially, desegregation happened in the school board of education, but it literally still existed. It literally still existed. If you were to
Yeah, I
walk
mean,
in,
it still exists in public schools today. If you really think about it, beyond the charter school, you're absolutely right because they've got something in
Because
Tennessee
of
called
the red
they
zoning.
got something they got something in Tennessee
Yeah.
called they're starting these vouchers and stuff for these private school
yeah,
vouchers and
Yeah, the
those charter
vouchers.
school. But here's the
And
yeah,
thing, I don't even I hate that when it comes to segregation in the public schools, the charter schools and stuff like that, yes, the public schools are going to have, less money. But that is where, and part of that is because a lot of our predominantly black schools were integrated, were shut down. I'm talking about the state of Tennessee, right? A lot of those schools were, a lot of those predominantly black schools in predominantly black areas because of the NAACP, they were shut down, and they were in the students started being bused, to what do they call it, majority to minority schools, and they started putting these black kids in these schools to where these kids weren't being taught. They were being put in the juvenile justice system, and I don't think the NAACP should have done that. I feel like they should have fought to once again. I believe in separate but equal. I think they should have been fighting for more funding in these predominantly black schools, because I don't see anything wrong when it comes to segregating these students. I don't, because I'm for black empowerment.
Okay, let's.
But I am, let me finish, but I am for separate but equal. But when it comes to these charter schools, just like you have a charter school is technically a privately owned school, right? For
Mm-hmm.
lack of a better term. But so we need to, it is possible for our communities to come together and start up some charter schools as well, right? Or we can go to, a lot of us don't even try to go to the Board of Education meetings, right? We can demand more funding from our schools. We can demand more for these people that we are voting for. We don't hold people accountable. That's why we don't have any political power, right? That's why they come to us every 4 years, or every time there's an election. If they can't red line us out, like Miller mentioned, and they come to us because they need our vote. They still need our vote, even though they think they want us to think that our vote don't count. Yes, it does. But even when we vote them in, we don't hold them accountable, right? So there are a lot of things that we can do to advocate for our own children, right? But we don't choose to do that. So what's going to happen now is, um, there are going to be less and less funds to these public schools, and more funds given to these charter schools or these voucher schools, which is a type of segregation. I agree with Koja on that, but there's something that we as a people can do to offset that also, because but before our schools were integrated, before the Brown versus Board of Educations, our black children, our communities had excellent. We were given excellent educations. All of the teachers were black, right? And because all the teachers are black, they cared about the students. You actually got a better education. I remember when I was little and I was going to school. Most of my classmates were black. Students. I had black classmates, but most of my teachers were black as well. You know what I mean? But by the time I got to high school, um, it started to change. I seen more and more non-black teachers,
Right.
and that was in part because of the high school that I had to go to. Um, um, my daddy sent all of us to predominantly white high school, right? And so, but that was because of that. But up until then, I had went to school being taught by black teachers. My classmates were, predominantly black. So I don't think there's anything wrong with separate but equal. But I do think segregation, unfair segregation when it comes to resources, that's not cool. So I know
I,
what you're saying
And
about that,
I got
Coach.
an example
when I
about.
went to my first 2 years in school of kindergarten and first grade were actually in a white school because that look I used to live in the project, and that little piece of project was where they sent the people to the white school to meet the quota. The first 2 years there, my teacher said they needed to test me because I was slow. I didn't like that school. And when they tested me, they found out, they said, oh, she gifted. And they put me in the gifted program. But in her brain, a black kid could not be just bored in class. And then I moved and I went to all black school. But they had me in the gifted program. I would still have to go to the place with the white kids because that's was the gifted program. I stopped going there when I got the chance in middle school. I actually only went there when I didn't do my homework in regular school because we would have to go to the community college to the school. But I didn't like being in that environment because those people were of the same community. They knew each other, and you always felt like an outsider. So by being from a small town, we got to be adults, I asked a couple of people that went to, I was like, hey, how did you feel when you was in the gifted program? Did you like going there? Like, no, I ain't like going there. And all of us actually dropped out because it definitely was a different environment when you had to go to school with, I ain't gonna say you just they didn't know you and you didn't fit in. I don't know if it's so much prejudice, but when you are not around the people who y'all have the same
Oh, okay. It was
foods
a
and stuff,
spiritual.
it was.
You felt in your spirit that you weren't welcome
Oh no,
there.
some of them bitches was prejudiced too, but we didn't feel welcome like the white kids felt welcome. It was a difference.
Right.
We
Right. You
felt
could
the
tell the
difference.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also wanted to talk about the misinformation that we give each other as black people. Um, and it starts as even little children. When, for example, right? And this is just a humble example. something as simple as the term lunchroom versus cafeteria, right? Take a kindergartner, right? And the kindergartner is told that they're going to, quote unquote, the lunchroom, right? This is an all black school. And it's like, okay, it's time to go to the lunchroom, everybody. This is what the teacher is saying. The black teacher that loves us and wants the best for us. But she's saying, it's time to go to the lunchroom. And so when you're walking as a group to what she would deem to be the lunchroom, there's this sign with cafeteria. And I would like to have people remember to be mindful that it's possible we misinform our children by accident. I want us to be aware of that, because a lot of times we're still spooked. We're still spooked into saying things that are simple minded as opposed to intelligent. And I want us to always.
Example? Can you give me an example?
Oh,
Mel, did you grow up in the South?
I don't know. My mom, I went to school and I was reading when I hit kindergarten. So, but I wouldn't say my mom was the typical person because a lot of people.
Where did you grow up, Mela? Do you live in the South or up north?
My people are from Mississippi.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Did you
Yes,
go? So you grew up in Mississippi?
not at all.
Okay, where'd you grow up?
The Midwest.
Okay, well, see, now here's the thing. Down south, I have this discussion, this with some people in this space, right? When you grow up in the South, it is a different type of racism. It is upfront and it is in your face, right? So you got some people from other parts of the country that simply cannot understand where somebody like me is coming from. So when I say something like I would prefer for our schools and even our communities to be separate but equal, I say that because down south, down here where I live in the state of freaking Tennessee, the home of the KKK, racism is upfront and it is in your face. It is not hidden. It is not passive aggressive. It is in your face. It is nothing to see a Donald Trump flag or beside a Confederate flag, beside a United States, flying flag, right? It's in your
they
face.
got Trump
The South is
2024 up here.
different. The South is
It's the way that you are
different.
treated,
I have,
right? You
yeah,
have
the
to know
South
how
is
to
different.
move. Right. So I don't think that it is is teaching your kids fear or ignorance. You are making them aware. Like I prefer for my young people to be in my family to be armed with knowledge because they need to know who their enemy is,
Okay,
who their aggressor is. And so I tell them every little piece of microaggression I try to tell them about. We talk about upfront racism because what I don't want them to be is a freaking victim. Okay, I
I'm
don't
co-
want them fooling
I,
around with people that really is not for them. And so, but when
wait a
it
minute.
comes
Wait
to
a minute.
some of these,
Wait.
no, just let me
I think
finish.
I'm being
Mhm.
misinterpreted.
Okay.
What I'm coming from is directional intelligence. Like, okay,
Mhm.
for instance, like there's a difference between teaching somebody where landmarks are as
Uh-huh.
opposed to teaching them north, south, east from what. There's a way to have your bearing in an
Right.
intellectual way as opposed to a simple way. That's all I'm conveying. I'm not trying to, discredit regions around
Oh
the
no, no,
country.
no, no, no! I don't mean it like it. I'm just trying to, like
Oh,
you gave
you
an
made it seem
example.
like I was trying to talk crazy
No,
with the regions
no,
around the country. And I just want
no,
people to understand the
no.
difference between intellect versus instinct. The white people have branded us with an instinctual mentality as opposed to an intellectual
Oh, I
mentality.
disagree. I disagree. They haven't branded me or mine with anything, so I
Well,
disagree with that.
okay,
Because
that
when
was a
you
general
arm yourself
statement.
with
I'm not
knowledge,
being specific.
let me
I'm
tell you
talking.
something, Miller. Let me tell you something. When you arm yourself with knowledge, anything that is encoded from a horrific past can be undone. But you have to
Yes,
arm yourself with knowledge.
absolutely,
A lot of
absolutely.
people don't arm themselves with knowledge, and when you don't arm yourself with knowledge, that becomes a problem. That opens the door for self hate. That opens the door for assimilation. But when you know who you are as a people, like we don't all get along sometimes, but I am for black empowerment overall. I advocate for my people first, collectively. And if some people think, well, if we all just get along, if we all just become unified, no, we don't have to get along. Other races of people aren't unified, but they are always on code. We are not even on code, right? And on code is something that we have to teach ourselves, right? Because it is a learned response, right? So when it comes to intelligence as opposed to what else? What's the other thing that you said? Intelligence as
What
opposed to
what are the principles of being on code?
the principles of being on call, like take non-black people, white folks, right? They don't all get along. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, they all gonna be for the same thing. Like take the issue of gun violence right now. You got up in the White House, you got the Democrats saying they want gun control. You got the Republicans saying, fighting against any type of gun control at all. But at the end of the day, if it came down to it, when it's all said and done, there is really not going to be any gun control because they are all on code. They are not unified.
Um,
At the end of the day, they are all on code, and nothing's really
uh-huh.
going to be done with these guns in the United States of America because these white folks ain't having it because they
Exactly.
all on
So this
code.
here, I went
Exactly. Because
to
I know
Tallahassee.
what the uniform code of military justice is, so I'm aware of what it is to be on code and the
Mhm.
principles therein. And I'm glad you explained it to the audience. Thank you, Miss Olivia.
I'm gonna say this here. I had the opportunity to go to Tallahassee and testify before our legislature on a bill. Now, when we got up there, they didn't want us to testify for that bill. They got all kind of filibustering, but they had to give us some amount of time, and they even whittled the little 3 minutes we had down to 1 minute.
Ain't that
I
something?
sat up there with a lot of white people. I was up there when I went in there with blue. I had on University, I think, Florida, color, blue hair and an orange shirt. And they didn't. That man didn't shake my hand. He was the judge that did the most divorces in family court cases in the whole state of Florida. Yeah, I was with two white women. He didn't shake my hand. When they cut our time down to testify, them white women could not pull it together because they had their pre-planned stuff. They couldn't do it on the fly. So they
Mm.
was all flustered. And so they will try to judge us. That's why they try to talk about how we speak and I hate when black people do it to each other and they talk about our southern drawl and stuff.
Mhm.
They couldn't do it. That's just surface level stuff. But when it
Right.
came down to whittling their message down to fit in that time slot, and I found a lot of times that white people agree that they're the biggest. And when we buy into the thing about intellect, they aren't. They have an agreed upon thing, and they are on code.
You
But
know I
I've
got a
noticed that,
question for you, right? I got a question for you, right?
yeah,
What
but we
what would you find as a response as to why you decided making your hair blue would be impactful?
Well, I wasn't actually planning on going to Tallahassee because I like the alcohol. I mean, when I was doing this blue hair, and so time the bill came up, and I was like, well, I want to go testify. I wasn't going to let the fact that my hair wasn't blue stop me, and I actually liked it because I wanted them to underestimate me. I wanted them to see me as that hood rat bitch because when I finished
You
testifying, because
wanted them to see you as that.
they underestimated me, and that was fine because at the end of that
Okay.
legislative session, they had the voting before the House and the Senate, and they was all together. They
Okay.
saved me to
I,
last, and they
I
gave
didn't
me the
I didn't
most.
know you was the type of woman that would pursue legislative change under those conditions. I didn't know that
I
about you.
wasn't gonna let I couldn't change my hair color. Session came up. I was learning about it. I say I'm going to fight this bill because this
Hey, it's
bill.
up to you. It's up to you. I just didn't know that about you. I didn't know that you
I
think
went
that
up there
way.
with blue hair. I went up there with fuchsia hair one time because
But why? Why?
that's just happened to be my hair color at the time.
No,
And
no,
I
no,
didn't,
no, no, no. There's no, it just happened to be. It's a
um,
defiant
no,
exercise.
no, no,
You
no,
were exercising
no,
defiance.
no,
You
no,
walked
no.
in
I
there saying, no matter
No,
what you
no,
motherfuckers
no. That
saying,
is
I
not
already
what
know what you
happened.
think
I'm
about
telling
me.
you what
So here I
happened. I'm
come,
telling
and you
you.
just don't have to suck it up.
I'm telling you what happened. I had been working on stuff here. I had never been to testify before anything. So when session came up, it was as per, and I learned about it, and I was invited up with some other people to go. And I wasn't going to let the fact that that was my hair color at the time stop me from going. I didn't go up there. I had been wearing my hair in different colors for a couple of years. So
I want to
I wasn't
explain. I
gonna,
want to explain
I'm saying,
myself, right?
I can't just take
I
my
want to.
hair from blue to another
Culture.
color.
I'm not trying to hate. I'm just trying to explain from a point of view that I may be offered to do. Okay. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, walk with me if you don't mind, please walk with me. In the event that I am officiating a court, right? I'm officiating a court that has stipulated rules of appearance, right? And what I'm supposed to do is accept someone that is not willing to at least concede before the hearing of what we can discuss to change.
I had drag queens in that same legislative session.
I get it. That's how shit gets done. I get it. But what I'm saying is, Kolja, it's not a surprise that people were in shock and awe about your appearance. That's not a surprise. Why are you making it seem like they didn't want to shake your hand because you're black?
I was the only
Why are
black
you doing that?
I was the only black person in there. So
well, why are you making? Okay. So you were the only black person in there. So you win. You got leverage with that. Okay, you got leverage with that.
So regardless, if I would have been in a three-piece suit with black hair or whatever, they still would have viewed me a certain way. Period.
You don't know that because you showed up with blue hair.
But it didn't stop anything, and the bill didn't get passed. And at the end of the legislative, okay, let me say this here. At the end of this legislative session, when we had to go before the House and the Senate, the person they saved to speak to last against the bill was me. They saved me to last, and they gave me the most time to speak. Because in spite of what they wanted to do, the words that came out my mouth was more than any white old woman sitting up there in that session. Because we went to session, I went to a session, I want to say 4 or 5 times I drove from South Florida to Tallahassee. And like I say, they appointed me last, and they gave me the most time because what I said was impactful, and I spoke the best on opposition to that bill.
Everything you say is impactful, Coach. That's not what I'm talking about. Everything you say is impactful, believe it or not. Everything. What I'm saying is the way that you presented yourself as the only black person there would not represent anyone other than considering you a novelty. That's what that blue hair told me. Okay, if somebody like, say hypothetically, I'm in control of some shit, right? And somebody approaches me with my officiating ass with some blue hair, I'm like, oh, they think this is a joke. That's what I'm saying, Kolja.
No, Mela, it was, if you you're speaking on it and you're assuming some things, but that's not what it was. That's not what it was.
Fair enough.
I was there.
Thank you for listening. Thank you.
I know what it was, and it wasn't that. And when it came to the women who were bumbling and stumbling and could not get themselves together, and who was doing the and the oh and the airhead type thing, that was not me. I went in with facts, statistics to point out my argument.
I like the color blue. I just really think that
the only reason I stopped wearing colorful hair, because when I was wearing it, it wasn't so many people wearing it, and it became too many people wearing it. So I stopped wearing it when too many people started wearing it.
But we know what the definition of a novelty is, right? A novelty, right? You showed up as a novelty, and it just so happened that you're talented. Hold on. It just so happened that you're talented, skilled, and your abilities of knowledge presented itself to be something above a novelty. That was you.
You
You were
don't. I
fated.
didn't have
You
to
were no.
ask
You were
anybody.
fated. You were fated to be heard. You were fated to be heard. However, I would deem to think that you were first viewed before you opened your mouth as a novelty. That's all I'm
No,
saying.
anybody can go and testify before the legislature. There is no way of order. You go and you sign up. They didn't know who I was
I
before
hope I'm not
I
tripping.
stood.
I swear I hope I'm not tripping. But
When and how it
I
works
love
is
you, girl.
here.
I look,
Okay, but I
whatever
just wanted to know how it is set up. There, you sign your name to testify. They don't know
Culture,
you
you
from.
always act like you got something to prove when we on a panel and we already know you're awesome. We
They
already
didn't
are aware of
know. They
that.
didn't know who I was. They didn't know who anybody was before you
You're
went to the podium.
awesome, Koja. You don't have to prove it. You're
I'm not
awesome.
proving it, but I'm just letting you know it wasn't a thing of a novelty or how I got there or where I was placed. How I was placed last was not a result of that. But when you sign up, they don't know you. You just John Smith, Sharon Bigelow. They don't know who you are. They just call your name in the order in which you sign up. So they don't know who I am before you stand up there. And I don't have a name that is Cynthia. I say, well, how the hell you gave me that damn white person name? I should have had a more colorful name, but they don't know who you were. So when they called my name, they didn't know what I mean. They couldn't even really make it out. Cynthia could be white, it could be black, it could be anything, but it's not a what you would say stereotypically
That's the
black name
name.
that they would be able
That's
to
the name
identify me.
That's the name your family gave
But
you
I'm
for
saying
a
it was not
reason.
so when you go up there, some names you can make out who the person is based, like if I were to say Shaquita, they would have known I was black. But at that time when you sign up, it was not that type of thing. And I didn't want to take the conversation. It just wasn't that. If it would have been that, I'd be the first to say it was that, but it wasn't.
Okay. I don't know if Miss Olivia will allow this question. I'm just gonna ask this outright. Okay. Um. God. Would you consider yourself to be a confrontational person or an uh uh um yeah, would you consider yourself to be a confrontational person? There is no or, that's the question. Because I've been called a confrontational, and it serves its purpose to be confrontational. It's just that there's there's a way to convey what you want to achieve without
I
spitting
operate
on
from the
people.
point of your approach determines my response. So if you come at me a certain way, I'm gonna respond to you. Now, if you my people, I'm gonna give you a couple of passes, but I say
Okay,
I
that's
respond
fair.
to you
That's
how
fair.
you approach me.
That's fair. That's fair because a bright mind is not going to judge you on sight, right? That's a bright mind. A bright mind is not going to look at somebody and say, "I deem them to be this, that, the other, and thus so." That's a bright mind. I have found that I can't assume that there are a bunch of bright-minded people out here, okay? And any event that I would be brave enough, or rather young enough, I'm brave enough, but young enough to embark upon your initiatives, I'm not going to show up in any other way than for them to assume I'm willing to listen to them. When I know in the back of my mind, I'm not leaving here until you do what the fuck I'm here for. You know what I'm saying? And when you show up already in a defiant manner, they say, "Oh, here we got another one that's trying to overrule us and overrule this, and we're going to give her a hard time." Now, they can't deny your intelligence. They can't deny your training skills and
Who
abilities.
said,
What they can do is judge you on sight. And
who
me
said blue
personally,
hair? My blue hair wasn't defiant. My blue hair was never defiant. My blue hair was fun. My blue hair was, I live and I'm working in an environment where I can have a little bit of fun. My hair was never seen as defiant. I have been black hair for a long time, and as you get older, you transition. So my hair was never meant to be defiant. I don't know who interpreted my hair as defiant, but my black hair is meant to be fun because when white girls dye their hair different colors, no one sees them as defiant.
Now, okay, we're not talking about white. Okay, so those white
But
women that were
I
in
can
that
just
area.
only.
Hold on, that situation that you just mentioned, was anybody else in that courtroom with blue hair?
It wasn't a courtroom. It wasn't a
Oh,
courtroom. It was
okay,
our state
okay,
capitol.
okay, at the state
And the state
capitol.
capitol is a different from a courtroom.
Okay,
And
we can go ahead and deflect if we want to. Was anybody else there with blue hair other than you?
oh no.
Okay, so what I'm saying is I'm going on mute because I think I sound
No, I'm
judgmental when
saying
I'm not trying to be.
no. I'm saying
I'm
I
not
wasn't
trying to
gonna
be
let.
judgmental.
No,
I'm
Mela.
not
If
trying to
I
be
could have
judge.
went up there with a different color hair, I probably would have. That just wasn't the opportunity that presented itself. You
I
can't
don't give
really
a fuck
give.
about the blue hair. That's not my point. My point is that if you're going to infiltrate and conquer what it is to be your agenda for change according to what you find worthy, you have to do it in a way that they are not in defense mode. That's what
Okay,
I'm
that
saying.
wasn't the bill I was going up there for. Let me explain so maybe you understand. The bill I was going up there was for a family court bill. So it wasn't some white black thing. As a matter of fact, that's why
I
there
mean,
were not any.
something just came over me. I'm a veteran, so I guess I have, I guess I have to remember that,
The bill
this
I
is
went
not.
up for
Yeah,
was
this
not
is not about the UCMJ. So I apologize. I apologize, Koja, because this is not about the UCMJ that I was trained with. So this is not about conforming. Okay, this is about your freedom as a civilian. So I apologize. Okay, I apologize if I came off. Well, I did come off judgmental. I came off judgmental, and I apologize. The basis would be where I'm accustomed apparently to my training under the UCMJ, which is the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and how we're supposed to conduct ourselves. So I sincerely apologize because I've just realized I'm judging you unfairly. I apologize. Okay.
um, if I wasn't going to let the fact that if I would have been, if I would know, hey, this session is coming up and da 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 da, would I have done my hair another color or whatever? Yes. I wasn't gonna not go and advocate against something that I knew in spite of that hair color. So I wasn't gonna let that stop me. Um, so I just
To be
wasn't.
honest with you, a lot of military veterans, honorable military veterans, we tend to be judgmental about being, in order to get something done, you have to conform first. In order to make radical change, that's the pattern. That's how we operate. In order to make radical change, you have to introduce yourself as the within the appearance as a
So
conformist,
y'all
even though
have to
you're
have
not.
y'all hair a certain way and all of that. That wasn't the environment I was in. And there's
That's what I'm saying. You're a civilian, and I forgot. I forgot that. I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot.
and so when I go and apply for a job, I'm going to apply for a job, and I'm gonna have my little thing there with all my little certificates and this and that. I do believe in going to places for for whatever the you dress for the occasion. And if you would have saw how some of them, we had whole entire, I don't want to know transgender because I know drag queens may not be the appropriate term, but they had a whole of them all up in Tallahassee. And the reality is, most of the time when Black people do go somewhere, court done got a little bit lax and stuff. We are the most overly dressed. We go there to find out that, hey, these people ain't dressed like I thought they was. We end up looking overdressed compared to many white people. And nobody was up, people weren't up in there wearing all suits and stuff, khakis and a blue shirt or whatever is what they wore. So, you know, it was an experience. And I wasn't going, you know, I guess you just had to be there. But if the opportunity came again and I got the opportunity to go again and my hair was blue, I still would. But one of my patients say she ain't like that nurse with that blue hair, so I haven't had blue hair in a while. But up until then, she ain't no
It's,
nurse because most of my patients got cataracts and can't see.
oh my God. It's all right. I got, you know what, I have some growing to do. That's all.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm glad everything worked out.
But yeah, down south is different, and I think most of us I don't know what different people come from different backgrounds. I grew up in the South. Like I said, when I went to kindergarten, I was reading in kindergarten. I don't know if I would say I was the typical because a lot of my mom had a college degree. She just had a low paying job. So I couldn't say, how most people, but we had definite variations in, kids that probably were super intelligent and had the smart genes, probably did better in school, even though they may not have had as much help at home because teachers saw their intellect and gave them a little bit of extra help and stuff, or it wasn't as hard to teach them. So,
Hmm. Yeah. I got some growing to do because what I've been introduced to is the fact that there's no manual or rule book as to what normal actually is. Like, normal is speculative, right? And what the military unfortunately taught me was that there is a such thing as normal, which is being a conformist, and that to me is limiting my spirituality, which is why I'm on this panel asking Miss Olivia
I
whether or
don't
not
believe in.
my spirituality is being hindered because my young adulthood was formulated with being a patriot of this country that I know did some fuck shit to my ancestors. And that is always contention in my soul. Like, how the fuck am I a patriot? This well decorated, you get to do whatever the fuck you want to do in life veteran. But at the same time, I'm well aware that this country did some fuck shit to my ancestors. So,
Well, I look at
that's
religion.
why I came on the panel. I didn't come on the panel to try to be I would like to think dramatic toward you.
Oh no,
I was
we
just
just
shocked that
different
you
point of
went
view
into
and opinion.
a formal, you went to the Capitol, expecting to be heard without consideration of being viewed as novelty. Like it's like, because that's my young, that's how I was trained. I was trained as a young adult to be quote unquote presentable, which equates
Whitewash,
normality. And what I've
whitewash,
learned is
whitewash.
that hold on. There's no such thing as this whitewashing having validation. It is a fucking manipulative tactic that they use with their Caucasian fragility. It's Caucasian fragility that has composed this consideration that we're all supposed to be quote unquote normal as them, and they're not fucking normal. So that's a conflict, that's a fucking problem. And that's why I apologize, because it's like, wait a minute, I'm resorting back to what I was trained to think as opposed to what I know is right. You have every right to assert yourself however you appear, however you choose to speak it. As long as you've been heard, I'm happy with that. I just didn't know how to get past what I was trained to think at the moment. And once again, I apologize.
Girl, you
Okay.
ain't got to apologize to me. But what I'm gonna say is this here: as far as religion, spirituality, um, probably Judeo-Christian, regular Christian upbringings. We went to whatever Sunday school got out the earliest. When our mama didn't make us go on the first and the third Sunday with her to the long church. I learned that what my God is not so weak that he can't, if he could reach down and talk to me, why would I think and be so narcissistic to think that he only talks to me that way? And whatever language or way he chooses to communicate with people is the way he will. If they want to be nature or whatever, he has divine wisdom, or she, or whatever they want to call it, has divine wisdom to know how to do it. And we are so narcissistic as people that we think there's only one religion and we are the chosen ones, and he is only going to speak to the whole of the world in that way. He ain't, God didn't deal with Joseph the way he dealt with Judah,
Did,
the way he dealt with whatever. So, and I have to remember that.
Did
And
you know that in basic training they issue us the New Testament of the Bible? Did you know that? You know what I'm saying? So I've said even in the
they came to my school for
they
I was
hold
on my
on.
way to the military.
That is systematic control with the interest of subjugation. That's how they fucking as Olivia says, buck break us mentally, because they hand that damn well, I shouldn't say it like that, because I grew up with my grandmother loving it, and for the longest time my mentality is, if it was good enough for her, it's good enough for me. However, being a world traveler, I've come to understand that there is spirituality, not necessarily adhering to a book for your salvation. There is a spirituality of salvation already within. And that was, there's a difference. That's how they got down. That's how they got down in the military.
Well, ain't nobody
You were
finna never
issued
make me think.
not only were you issued your I was 19. Not only were you issued your uniform, you was issued that pocket-sized New Testament. And that's what was supposed to comfort you through the confusion of all this melee that you don't get to figure out until you actually get out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Ain't nobody finna never make me think. When I sat in the Sunday school or wherever Bible study I was, and they told me that the lady, it sounded crazy when I was a child, and it always stuck out in my memory, that a lady who was raped was gonna be forced to marry her rapist to bring honor to her family. Ain't nobody gonna never convince me that that was the whole of how God said that. I don't care. He's gonna have to come down and tell me himself, and he ain't communicated to me that man edited that Bible and a whole lot of other stuff. But almost every religious text is edited in a way that I was like, I don't care, in the whole of my mind, God gonna, if he want me to believe this here, he gonna come and say, sit your ass down and let me tell you this the way I want you to believe it. And he ain't came to me and said, or she ain't came to me and said it, and nature ain't came to me and said it. And when he want me to sit down, she want me to sit down, or the Orishas want me to sit down, just like I told Miss Olivia today, I heard you. And I'm going to be mindful of you. When you say that, just like it was rested on my spirit, and I was not going to let it rest. I told her that he'll put it on my spirit that some of that other bullshit that I'm edited in the Bible is true. So he'll talk to me himself when he want me to know something, or she want me to know something.
What I'm
Because he ain't never had a problem doing
actually saying, you doing me one better. What I'm interested in saying right now is, it reminds me of when my first husband tried to convert me, take Shahada to convert to Islam, and trying to be the dutiful wife that I would want to be. I'm going to these studies, and I just so happened to open the Quran, right? It just opened. And this is another thing about what was fated for me. It just opened, and there was this passage that said, if your wife disrespects you, you may beat her lightly. And I was just like, whoa, because prior to that in our marriage, he was getting increasingly more just out of the blue agitated, right? He was just getting, insecure about being the sole provider, because we were both active duty military members. And when he instructed Okay. He instructed his wife not to re-enlist. I was like, okay, you're my husband. I'm not going to re-enlist. And so what he found himself being faced with is, okay, you're going to go to a university and we'll just have to pay for it. And or he didn't say we, he said he. It was all about him and what he was going to do for us. And so I'm being quote unquote obedient, right? Because he's my husband. I'm young, right?
I'm listening, Mela. I'm just making a lot of noise, so I'm on mute.
Oh, okay. What eventually occurred was that the stress of financial responsibility began to show out in his personality. He got increasingly impatient over things that he was always patient about. And when I would ask him about why is his personality changing when I'm still the same, he was saying, you don't know what it's like to be the sole provider. And eventually the conversations would evolve into him wanting to become a Muslim. He thinks that is a peaceful way of life. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm trying to roll with it. And he told me I need to prepare for something called Shahada, which is being all in, basically. And so I'm studying with the women, and it just so happened this third study that the Quran, opened up, beyond my bookmark, because I had the book marked for the next study, but the way it opened haphazardly, just by happenstance. Okay, it's all, just imagine you got this ribbon that's laid across the page, ready for the next study, but your book falls, right?
It wasn't happenstance. They say a coincidence is a small miracle where God prefers to remain anonymous.
And he was getting and you got to keep in mind, he was getting increasingly aggressive sounding in our marriage, right? Increasingly aggressive sounding in our marriage. He didn't do anything, but he was getting increasingly aggressive sounding. And it's like that speak when you spoken to type of shit, right?
Oh,
So
thank you, God, for my whole single momentness that told me don't never depend 100% on the man and don't have your own. Thank you, Jesus, for my whole single mama.
child, that book, it fell off my lap, and I picked it up, and my right thumb was on the passage. If your wife disrespects you, you may beat her lightly. Did I tell you that's my ex-husband, y'all? That's my ex-husband. Cause I was like, this ain't no coincidence. This ain't no coincidence. This nigga setting me up. This nigga setting me up. Fuck this. And I went back home to my people and married someone else, and we enjoy our son. And but so there's a reason why I'm interested in what one is fated to experience. Coincidence.
If you wait for a man to barbecue for you, you might not never eat no damn barbecue.
I'm not willing to dog out all men. I'm just saying that
I'm not saying that, but just know how to have.
You
and
do
do
sound
your
like
own.
you want to dog them all out, though, folks.
No. I'm gonna tell. Well, if it sounds like, let me tell you. If you be totally dependent upon somebody, you are making yourself a victim. So always keep you some in your back pocket and know how to do for self. And I ain't saying you ain't have. I'm married and everything, but still, I always know how to do for self.
I approve that. I approve of that message. Definitely. Always do for self. Yes. It's a beautiful thing, too.
I know that's right, Culture.
And my mama know how to clean catfish.
Miss Olivia, why you let us sit up here and play tennis with each other with our work?
That was good. I was eager.
Okay. I hope someone was able to pick the fiber from the fruit, and thanks for having.
Yeah, you need that fiber. If you don't get that fiber, you're gonna be constipated. So don't be throwing the fiber out with the fruit. Fiber is good for you.
That's right. Get the fiber from the fruit. Don't be full of shit. Get the fiber from
Exactly.
the fruit.
Y'all a mess. But no, I enjoyed the conversation, but I found it very interesting. When y'all were going back and forth, talking when it came to the conversation of conformity versus non-conformity, and what I gathered with that, it was really a discussion about assimilation. You know what I mean? Because
Yep.
a lot of black people feel that they are not good enough when it comes to certain types of situation when you're dealing with certain types of people, and they try to assimilate themselves or conform into what they think is going to be acceptable to those types of people. And and I don't um I really don't even want to say it's a form of self-hate, but it's a form of not feeling like you're good enough. And I would
How
never
is
want
how is
anybody to
not
feel that way.
how is showing up to an interview at a state for state
No,
employment
no,
is
what she was saying, but she didn't even know she was gonna speak, Mella. That just went right over your head.
what went
Did
over
you
my
say they
head?
told you? Did you wasn't expecting to speak?
No, what I said is I didn't know legislative session was coming up. This was my first time engaging. When I
Mhm.
found out, it was on a short notice, like a couple of days.
Right,
And so
right.
I was not gonna let my blue hair, and I did think about it. I thought about it,
Uh-huh.
but I was not gonna let that not let me go to advocate against the bill that I didn't think was right. So in the grand scheme of things, how dumb people saw the blue hair, and I knew next time I went back, I had fuchsia hair. I don't want you to get that right. I wasn't gonna let that stop me.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I know you were expected to speak, and I knew that.
No. Oh, okay. That's what I was saying. Legislative session. There is no list of people who are expected to speak. You do the first time I went, you
Well, let's
sign up
not go
because we
down
went
that
for
road,
this.
Soldier. I get that.
Okay.
I get what you're
So
saying.
they picked your name.
No,
Let
everybody
me
gets to speak.
Yeah, ladies, hold on. We don't want to go back down that road. I need,
Yeah.
let me answer this
Okay.
question for a little bit. A little bit said I also heard a podcast where a scholar who studied ancient African traditions found that African men and African women did not have distinct gender roles. The women traveled to hunt and make trade with other tribes. That is absolutely right, little bit. A lot of ancient African tribes were also matriarchal. They followed the matriarchal line, and because they followed the matriarchal line, they weren't gender conformant, right? All the men didn't have to go out and hunt and gather and go to war, and all the women weren't, nesters, right? So we know that there are women, there were warriors, right? Even to this day, there are women that are considered warriors. Not only over not what we consider warriors, but what certain tribes consider warriors, because certain tribes consider the head, is women, right? So they go out and fight, and there just gender nonconformity when it comes to a whole lot of tribes, right? And so, yeah, you're right about that little bit. I just want to read that comment, y'all, because it was real good. Going back to the original subject.
I I didn't see the comment in the chat.
Yeah, I was just reading it right here. And so, but ladies, look, we've been on here 3 hours and I am ready to go. Okay.
I'm finna get out. 'Cause my husband talking about you supposed to be seasoning that steak up. So I got to get off too. Oh, he gotta be on me.
I heard that. I heard that. But I appreciate y'all popping up and having the conversation with me. I know this ain't no beef
It
or
was
nothing.
more than a conversation. I actually revealed a testimony. So
I heard your testimony. I did, and good for you. You did the right thing. You
no,
absolutely did the
no,
right
no,
thing.
no, 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 no. It's not
Uh,
about good for me. It's about
mhm.
good for others that can get the fiber out of the fruit
I mean,
that
yeah,
I
that
share.
too. I was just talking about specifically when you saved yourself from your first marriage. That's what I was talking
Thanks for
about.
having me.
Oh, thanks for coming up, Mella. Thanks for hitting the link. Thank you too, Coach, for hitting the link. And y'all
Thank
know I'm
you.
gonna be on these lives all night long, child, right? Because my stamina is not amazing.
Yeah, we going over to Bomb Cherry and see what she talking about. As
Okay,
always. Peace
I'm
and
finna cook.
blessings, everybody. Bye.
absolutely. Okay, talk to y'all
I'm
later.
finna cook before they beat me.
Okay, you're a miss, Coach. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Okay, bye bye. But yeah, thank y'all so much for sticking with me. Like I said, this wasn't I don't always do these types of conversations, but I have to do more of them. I had a good time. I really enjoyed it, and thank you guys. Thank you, little bit, and thank you guys for staying with me this whole time. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys have a nice day on tomorrow. A nice rest of your night tonight, and I am going to talk to you guys later. Okay, bye bye, peace.